Chapter 281, Such is the confidence bestowed by merit plus, turn off reset. Chapter 281, Such is the confidence bestowed by merit. Lu Ruoxue fell silent upon hearing these words. Wei Ji sneered, Northern Cold is now controlled by the demonic path, and it is inevitable that it will be infiltrated by the heaven-shaking divine sect. It is likely that the heaven-shaking divine sect has already begun making contact with the Northern Cold demonic sects. Although survival is possible on the eastern border, there is no way to return and conquer the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. Only in Northern Cold can we reconnect with the heaven-shaking divine sect and aid them in overtaking the mystic Azure realm. Lu Ruoxue had a sudden realization. I see, Elder Wei has indeed considered this more thoroughly than I have. Then, if the two of us go to Northern Cold, which sect shall we join? Has Elder Wei already decided? Wei Ji shook his head, join? No, once we control that artifact, we ourselves will become a force to be reckoned with. Others will come to us, not the other way around. Lu Ruoxue looked bewildered. Wei Ji massaged his forehead. The mystic Azure realm's protective formation was laid down by the Reincarnation Divine Church, featuring a central core and 64 support points. The core is located in the central continent, and the support points are spread across various locations. Among these 64 supports, there are 10 major and 54 minor points. 2 of these major points are located in Northern Cold. Lu Ruoxue pondered, so, you mean to say that we need to take control of these 2 major points in Northern Cold? Wei Ji nodded, exactly. Once we control those 2 points, the people from Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect will naturally seek us out to collaborate. Enough talk, let's hurry. Some things can be discussed once we arrive in Northern Cold. The two utilized their evasion techniques to speed up their journey. Wherever they passed, only the howling wind could be heard, leaving no trace behind. At the rise of the sun over the eastern mountains, Zhao Kai and the other nascent soul cultivators finally caught up to a high mountain. These two are truly cowardly, fleeing under cover of night. The burly male cultivator frowned deeply. Humph, merely cowards who flee without a fight, scoffed the voluptuous female cultivator. Zhao Kai merely furrowed his brow slightly. I think they likely fled towards the eastern border. Senior brother, shall we pursue? Asked the burly male cultivator. Zhao Kai waved his hand dismissively, forget it, chasing them is just a waste of time. They are determined to flee, we can't stop them. Let's head back. The battle in the eastern border hasn't been decided yet, we need to reinforce immediately and unify the eastern border. The voluptuous female cultivator smiled, once the eastern border is unified, we will control most of the protective formation's supports. Then, all we need to do is concentrate our forces to attack Northern Cold. With the protective formation in place, the heaven-shaking divine sect cannot possibly breach Mystic Azure. Zhao Kai nodded slightly. Formations are the ultimate means of turning weakness into strength. And he, Zhao Kai, was a formidable formation master. Though only a nascent soul period formation master capable of activating just 10% of the protective formation's power. Even so, with him guarding the formation, it could at least withstand the combined assault of 20 nascent soul cultivators. The protective formation was their greatest reliance. Blue Star. Chu Xian watched intently as the fire bee egg before him was about to hatch. His expression was one of eager anticipation. Having derived the fire bee cultivation method from the fire ant cultivation technique, he had already conducted 32 experiments. This was the 33rd attempt. Each previous experiment had failed without exception. Either the fire bee would die within the egg before birth, develop deformities, or perish shortly after emerging. However, this time, Chu Xian felt a serendipitous assurance wash over him. This time, it must succeed, such is the confidence bestowed upon me by virtue. Crack! A fissure abruptly appeared. Then came a second and a third. In the blink of an eye, the crack spread across the shell of the fire bee egg like a spiderweb. After a while, the little creature finally emerged from the egg. It shook its shriveled wing cases and antennae, which quickly dried out in the air. With a buzz, it took flight, skillfully soaring through the air and circling Chu Xian several times. Chu Xian extended his palm. The little creature obediently landed in the center of his hand and even stretched out its little legs to brush off its own down. Chu Xian then sliced off a piece of meat from another crocodile. The little creature's eyes lit up, and it immediately pounced on it. Surprisingly, it spewed purplish-black flames from its mouth, quickly roasting the meat until it was golden and dripping with fat. Only then did it open its mandibles wide to feast, producing crisp, crunching sounds. A look of joy spread across Chu Xian's face. It was a success. The new fire bee was successfully nurtured. This fire bee exhaled blood-eveline fire from its mouth and exhibited impressive abilities in flying and feeding. Clearly, it was exceedingly healthy and robust. Moreover, it was born with the strength of a second-stage early-phase goo insect. With some nurturing, it might even reach the third stage. Chu Xian was profoundly moved. A third-stage goo could match a golden core cultivator. Given enough of them, fearless and relentless, they could even overwhelm a nascent soul cultivator. Especially since these little ones could produce and spew blood-eveline fire. This cave world truly is a splendid place, Chu Xian mused. Now that I have obtained the fire ant cultivation method, I can look forward to acquiring the thunder ant cultivation method and even the queen ant cultivation method in the future. Still, it's too slow. If only I could obtain the queen ant cultivation method in one go. Amidst his elation, Chu Xian felt a pang of regret. With the queen ant cultivation method, he could modify it to develop a queen bee cultivation method. The enhancement of a blood bee queen would be far more significant than that of a mere fire bee. However, considering the societal structure of the cave world, the tribal hierarchy was evidently rigid. A small tribe that produced a gold insect master would inevitably be absorbed into a mid-sized tribe. And the strong figures from these mid-sized tribes would likely be taken by the larger tribes. If that were the case, obtaining the queen ant cultivation method would necessitate access to a large tribe. How long would that take? Must he wait until Xiaohua ascended to the ranks of a platinum or diamond insect master? That would be far too long. He couldn't wait that long. Yet currently, he lacked any means to forcibly change hosts. He could only watch and wait. SEA the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Mystic Azure Star. Upon returning, Chu Xian immediately received a psychic message from Wan Hun. 2 unfamiliar nascent soul cultivators have arrived in Northern Cold. After they conquered 2 small sects, they entrenched themselves, making no further moves. Xingji has already paid them a visit. The 2 sides got along well and conversed amicably, with no conflicts arising. Wan Hun is also preparing to visit, planning to bring several golden core cultivators along. He asked if I would join. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. At a time when the situation was tense, the sudden appearance of foreign nascent soul cultivators in Northern Cold was intriguing. He definitely needed to ascertain their capabilities. After all, on this trip, he was merely an early-stage golden core cultivator. Even if the visitors were to start trouble, any hostility would be directed at Wan Hun, not him. As an outsider, he could observe more clearly and thoroughly. Chapter 282, Neither Speaks a Single Truth plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 282 Neither Speaks a Single Truth in Northern Cold, at Golden Thunder Mountain, once the stronghold of the Golden Thunder sect of the Jin Kingdom, the landscape had changed dramatically. After the collapse of the Northern Cold Righteous Alliance, the Golden Thunder sect had been swept away by the demonic sects. As for the mortal realm of the Jin Kingdom, it had been annexed by the Wu Kingdom. Now, the mortal world of Northern Cold was under the rule of the Wu Kingdom, while the cultivation world was dominated by the Corpsine sect and the Myriad Soul sect. However, the sudden appearance of 2 nascent soul cultivators in Northern Cold disrupted this clear structure. This time, Wan Hun brought Chu Xian, by Jinkuan, and Wan Wuing to Golden Thunder Mountain. A figure had been waiting in the air above Golden Thunder Mountain. Seeing them, he saluted from afar, calling out, "Jiwei greets fellow Daoist Wan Hun." Myriad Soul's elder laughed heartily, I've heard from fellow Daoist Xing that fellow Daoist Ji Wei is a sight to behold, truly, seeing is believing. The man chuckled lightly, you flatter me, let us speak inside. Fellow Daoist Xing also mentioned your expertise in the art of ghost cultivation, a subject I find quite intriguing. I must seek your advice on another day. Wan Hun's expression remained unchanged. That would be most welcome. Cthnafire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian watched the two and smirked internally. In just a few sentences, they had already engaged in a verbal probe. This man's skill in disguise is quite good, half as good as mine, thought Chu Xian. His gaze casually swept over Ji Wei. He had seen through Ji Wei's disguise and recognized his true identity. It was Wei Ji, a nascent soul cultivator from the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. How has Wei Ji come to Northern Cold? Chu Xian wondered. And could the other nascent soul cultivator also be from the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace? Chu Xian's mind was abuzz with thoughts, but he revealed nothing. Atop Golden Thunder Mountain, within the Grand Hall, Wei Ji and Wan Hun sat facing each other. Chu Xian, Bai Jingquan, and Wan Wuying sat below them. Wei Ji clapped his hands, and a wooden puppet immediately came forward to serve tea. Wan Hun exclaimed, fellow Daoist Ji's puppetry is truly remarkable. I've seen others' puppets that move awkwardly, but your puppet moves as if it were alive, showing no sign of inconvenience. Wei Ji smiled, naturally, for it contains the soul of a cultivator. Wan Hun was startled, then burst into laughter, excellent. Fellow Daoist Ji is truly a kindred spirit. Wei Ji merely smiled lightly. The two conversed for a long time. During the conversation, Wan Hun introduced his 3 golden core disciples to Wei Ji. Wei Ji's gaze swept over Chu Xian and the others but noticed nothing amiss, paying them little mind. After a while, Myriad Soul's elder suddenly asked, from whence do you hail, fellow Daoist Ji? What brings you to Northern Cold? Wei Ji sighed deeply, who would choose to come to a land of strangers if they had other options? I am but a mere first-level nascent soul cultivator, and my coming to Northern Cold was out of sheer necessity. I implore fellow Daoists Wan and Jing not to ostracize me. Then he spun a convoluted tale. Essentially, he claimed to have fled from the eastern border due to betrayal by his sect mates and had chosen Golden Thunder Mountain as his refuge due to its favorable location. His story was so tortuous and heart-wrenching that it seemed designed to pull at the heartstrings. After listening, Wan Hun sighed deeply, your senior brother is truly despicable. I, too, have endured such tragedies in the past. He then recounted his own tumultuous and tear-jerking story. Chu Xian, Bai Jingquan, and Wan Wuying struggled to stay awake through the exchange. All being centuries-old foxes, they found these ghost stories tedious. Much later, Wan Hun asked, would you be willing to join our Northern Cold demonic sect, fellow Daoist Ji? Wei Ji shook his head, absolutely not. I carry a deep-seated vendetta and am bound to be hunted by enemies. How could I possibly involve your sect in my troubles? Wan Hun nodded, then suddenly asked, do you know the fellow Daoist Shui who has taken over Flying Thunder Valley? Wei Ji frowned, fellow Daoist Shui? I do not know. Since arriving in Northern Cold, I have stayed here at Golden Thunder Mountain. My visitors have only been fellow Daoist Xing and you, fellow Daoist Wan. I know nothing of the outside world. Wan Hun studied his eyes and expression intently but could detect nothing unusual, so he did not press further. Soon after, Wan Hun led Chu Xian and the others away. Wei Ji, accompanied by 2 wooden puppets, saw them off. Farewell until next time, fellow Daoist Wan, he called out cheerfully. Only after Wan Hun and his party had disappeared did Wei Ji's smile slowly fade. This Wan Hun appears to be at the 4th layer of nascent soul but is likely only at the 2nd due to severe injuries that have never fully healed, he mused. As for Jing Ji, though he presents as the 3rd layer, he is actually at the 4th. Wei Ji sneered, I must find an opportunity to lure them out together and control them with a soul-restraining spell. Then, Northern Cold will be completely under my control, providing me with more leverage in dealings with the heaven-shaking divine sect. After leaving Golden Thunder Mountain, Wanhun led Chu Xian and the others to Flying Thunder Valley, where they met a beautiful woman named Shui Ruoliu. She told them a complicated story about coming from the Western land after being expelled from her sect, with no intentions of competing for supremacy. She simply wished to live and cultivate peacefully in her small corner of Flying Thunder Valley. Wanhun repeated the questions he had asked at Wei Ji's, but he gained no useful information from the beautiful woman either. On the return journey to the Sol mountain range, Wanhun stood at the forefront, his brow furrowed in deep thought. Wan Wuing rested with closed eyes. Unable to contain his curiosity, Bai Jingkuan asked, "Master, have you discerned anything?" Wanhun shook his head. "I can't see through them, not a single word they said was truthful." Bai Jingkuan was taken aback. "Then why did you exchange stories with them?" Wanhun scoffed. "Speak human words to humans, ghost words to ghosts. Isn't that a necessary tactic for us demon cultivators?" "Kuan, you still have much to learn." Bai Jingkuan gave a wry smile and fell silent. "Master, have you noticed anything?" Wanhun secretly transmitted his voice to Chu Xian, ensuring Bai Jingkuan and Wan Wuing couldn't hear. Chu Xian pondered for a moment before replying, "Both of their strengths are formidable, not merely at the first layer of the nascent soul stage as they appear. You must be cautious when dealing with them." Wanhun was shocked. He hadn't noticed their concealed strength. Fortunately, Chu Xian's warning might save him from a disaster in the future. "Thank you, Master," Wanhun replied respectfully. "Think nothing of it. Let's return to the Sol mountain range, no need to dwell on this," Chu Xian replied casually. At Black Devil Peak, Chu Xian continued his cultivation, waiting. He was waiting for Wei Ji and the others to make their move. Sure enough, less than a month later, Wanhun sent him a message. "Master, Ji Wei and Shui Ruoliu just met and started fighting immediately. Ji Wei even severed one of Shui Ruoliu's arms. It turns out these two were mortal enemies from the past. Had Jingji not intervened, they might have fought to the death, once again destabilizing Northern Cold's situation. Jingji and I have decided to invite them to the Myriad Souls sect and mediate their conflict under the guise of reconciliation, planning to control their minds while they are off guard. What are your thoughts, Master?" Chapter 283, Do Not Rashly Commit Slaughter. Chu Xian couldn't help but chuckle after hearing Wanhun's message. It seemed likely that these two were in cahoots, and their sudden bout of life and death combat was clearly staged. Wanhun and Jingji couldn't see through this, which was not surprising to Chu Xian. Only someone with his high proficiency in disguise techniques could discern that the so-called Ji Wei and Shui Ruoliu were using false identities. Beneath their disguises were their true faces. Wanhun and Jingji's thinking was straightforward. These two unfamiliar nascent soul cultivators were difficult to grasp and control, so they decided to directly manipulate their minds. This would ensure real stability. Wei Ji and his accomplice are clearly putting on a show with a significant plot in mind. They probably won't come to the Myriad Souls sect. Chu Xian pondered for a moment before sending a message back to Wanhun. "When the time comes, both you and Jingji should bring along your respective sect's golden core cultivators. I will go with you." Understood. A few days later, Wanhun relayed new information. Ji Wei and Shui Ruoliu were blinded by rage and would not heed any advice. The two had fought from the eastern edge of Northern Cold to the west, accumulating numerous injuries, yet they showed no signs of wanting to cease their battle. Jingji and Wanhun, feeling helpless, decided to intervene directly. Chu Xian laughed upon hearing this. As he had guessed. Moments later, Chu Xian, Bai Jingkuan, and Wan Wuing boarded Wanhun's flying magic treasure and departed from the Sol mountain range. Several hours later, they hovered outside Flying Thunder Valley. Jingji and his golden core disciples were already there, at a loss for what to do. Peering into the valley, Chu Xian saw two distinctly different types of spiritual qi clashing continuously. However, the water spiritual qi was consistently suppressed by the metal spiritual qi, indicating that Wei Ji was dominating the female cultivator in their battle. Wanhun and Jingji exchanged glances, instantly understanding each other's thoughts. Wei Ji and Shui Ruoliu had been fighting for a long time and must be running low on spiritual qi and riddled with injuries. Now was the perfect opportunity to exploit their weakness and forcefully take control of their minds. Xing Ji cleared his throat. Fellow Daoist Ji, leave some leeway, we may meet again in the future. There's room to talk things out, stop for a moment. As Wei Ji's resentful roar echoed through Flying Thunder Valley, Wan Hun loudly called out, indeed, fellow Daoist Ji, even mortal enemies can sit down and discuss matters. Besides, you might have mistaken her identity. I see nothing in fellow Daoist Shui that resembles the heinous villain you describe. A harrowing cry of desperation then followed from Shui Ruoliu. I've never done such a thing, fellow Daoist Ji must be mistaken. Fellow Daoists, save me. Wan Hun and Xing Ji continued their half-hearted shouts without entering the valley. It was better to wait a bit longer. Once both parties were depleted of their spiritual qi, it would be a good time to intervene. Suddenly, another scream resonated from the valley. A figure plummeted from the sky and crashed heavily onto the ground. Shui Ruoliu immediately wailed in agony. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I really didn't kill your family. Fellow Daoists, save me. Quick. Wan Hun and Xing Ji exchanged a glance and then dashed into Flying Thunder Valley, knowing the time was ripe. Chu Xian and the other Golden Core cultivators followed closely, rushing into the valley and blocking the entrances and exits. Inside, the valley was a scene of devastation, with ruins and signs of fierce combat everywhere. At the center, Shui Ruoliu lay in a pool of blood, now missing another arm. Ji Wei, covered in blood, violently drew his sword to behead her. Chu Xian observed the surrounding chaos with a slight, almost imperceptible smile on his lips. Xing Ji urgently yelled, fellow Daoist Ji, spare a life. Do not recklessly commit slaughter. Wan Hun also shouted, what fellow Daoist Xing said is right. It's never too late to confirm whether she truly is your mortal enemy before you strike. Wei Ji roared skyward, his spiritual qi surging wildly. He furiously swallowed a pill and glared at them both. I've said it, anyone who tries to stop me from killing her is my enemy. Stay back. With that, he fiercely brought his sword down. Xing Ji and Wan Hun reacted instantly, their spells flying through the air to knock the sword from Wei Ji's grasp. Xing Ji swiftly moved to restrain Wei Ji, while Wan Hun rushed to Shui Ruoliu's side, aiming to support the armless woman and seize control of her mind in her vulnerable state. Wei Ji's eyes bulged with rage. Xing Ji. You really dare to stop me? He furiously slapped his storage bag, and 5 wooden puppets charged straight at Xing Ji. Xing Ji, realizing that Wei Ji was making a desperate last stand, calmly brought out his corpse tower. 5 corpse puppets swept out to entangle with Wei Ji's 5 wooden puppets, binding them in a fierce skirmish. Meanwhile, he approached Wei Ji, speaking soothingly, fellow Daoist Ji, we're all here for your benefit. Calm your spirit. Just restrain her for now, and once we verify that she truly is your mortal enemy, we'll help you deal with her, alright? Wei Ji hesitated, suspicion flickering across his face, really? You're not trying to help her kill me? Xing Ji pleaded earnestly, we've only just met Shui Ruoliu, why would we help her against you? Fellow Daoist Ji, why would you think so poorly of us? He sighed, his frustration evident as if trying to do good was being misconstrued as malicious intent. A look of guilt crossed Wei Ji's face. I was blinded by rage, my apologies. Sarch * the novel fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Xing Ji shook his head, moving closer, no harm done. Anyone whose family has been destroyed and encounters their enemy would understandably be overwhelmed with emotion. I've been through similar experiences and can empathize. As he drew nearer, his right hand covertly clutched a handful of poison powder, ready to use it when the moment was right. Enough, Wei Ji suddenly declared. Xing Ji paused, what's enough? I mean you're close enough, Wei Ji grinned. In the next instant, a long-accumulated surge of sword qi roared to life. The relentless, piercing sword qi impaled Xing Ji. Xingji's eyes widened as he hastily activated his defensive spells and magical treasures. He even summoned a corpse king to shield himself, but it was too late. The opponent had been charging up for too long. In a blink, he was riddled with holes like a sponge, blood pooling around him. His once prized corpse king was now sliced into countless fragments. You. Xingji staggered, his gaze filled with disbelief as he looked at Wei Ji. Wei Ji gave a slight smile as his nascent soul stage 4 aura exploded forth, overwhelming Xingji, who struggled to breathe. Wei Ji spoke softly, "Xingji, I don't want to kill you. If you submit, I can spare your life." Xingji turned pale. Meanwhile, a cry of horror came from Wanhun nearby. The armless female cultivator in his arms suddenly regrew her limbs. He had intended to control her mind, but her spirit proved far stronger than he had anticipated. The technique to control minds backfired on him. Chapter 284 Old Sly Fox. Wei Ji's eerie laugh broke the tense silence. "Don't bother looking, he's too preoccupied to help you." Xingji managed a bitter smile. "You two had planned this all along, hadn't you?" He couldn't believe it. They had been fighting for so long, and it was all an act, a trap set for him and Wanhun. The tragic scenes within Flying Thunder Valley probably were nothing more than illusions. Wei Ji remained silent, his smile wide but non-committal. At this moment, the Golden Core cultivators brought by Xingji and Wanhun heard the commotion and hurried towards the valley. Upon seeing the situation unfold, they were stunned, completely unprepared for such a turn of events. The Golden Core cultivators hesitated, looking at each other, unsure of what to do next. They were just low-level cultivators, how could they possibly intervene in a battle between nascent soul cultivators? Seeing Xingji's reluctance to speak, Wei Ji scoffed, "You didn't actually expect those Golden Core cultivators to save you, did you? Mere low-level cultivators, as if they could turn the tide." Xingji naturally had no such expectations. He was about to respond when he noticed a faint chill rising from the ground. He blinked but concealed his surprise well, masking his reaction. Suddenly, Wanhun's voice boomed, "Master, save me." Xingji, Wei Ji, and Lu Ruoxue were all taken aback. "Master? You old Sly Fox, still playing so crafty at your age?" While the three were momentarily distracted, a massive column of frost erupted suddenly from beneath Wei Ji. His pupils shrank, and without hesitation, he summoned a giant sword to block it. Boom! A terrifying explosion echoed as the ice god pillar slammed into Wei Ji, sending him flying back a great distance. Before he could touch the ground, the pillar exploded into countless ice shards, pelting Wei Ji with bone-chilling cold. Wei Ji hastily attempted to block with his giant sword again. However, the magic treasure had already been cracked by the initial impact of the ice god pillar. It could no longer withstand the relentless barrage of ice shards. Before even half of the shards had struck, the sword shattered with a crack, scattering into numerous metal fragments. The remaining shards swept past, striking at Wei Ji's vital points with ruthless precision. Wei Ji, in a fit of rage, spat out a mouthful of his nascent soul essence, and immediately, 8 golden giant swords began to whirl around him. This was his ultimate defensive spell, which had blocked countless attacks in numerous battles. Boom, boom, boom. The ice shards continued to fall relentlessly. To Wei Ji's shock, his 8 golden swords, just after manifesting, began to wobble as if on the verge of collapse. Looking around, he realized that the ground was now covered with a layer of unmelting frost, enhancing the power of ice-based spells significantly. Crack, crack. Cracks quickly formed on the 8 golden swords. Before Wei Ji could react, they shattered into pieces in the blink of an eye. His body was blown away by the force, tumbling through the air. As he tried to rise, he noticed a figure approaching, stepping through the cold air. A fearsome ghost, grim and ghastly, floated beside the figure, holding a black, blood-streaked chain that was chilling to behold. The chain had not yet struck, but Wei Ji could feel it binding him completely, ready to smash him into a pulp if he made any sudden move. Suddenly, a scream pierced the air. Wei Ji instinctively looked toward Lu Ruoshui, who was being brutally assaulted by a massive dark figure. On closer inspection, it was a high-level corpse king. Lu Ruoshui, covered in injuries, was clearly no match for it. In less than 2 breaths, the situation had dramatically reversed. From victors, they had become trapped beasts. The Golden Core disciples of the Corpsing sect were utterly shocked by the scene. Bai Jingquan and Wan Wuying, however, remained composed. After all, this Lin Fan was a formidable nascent soul cultivator. While Wei Ji and his companion had set their own trap, this nascent soul cultivator had also been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Wei Ji managed a bitter smile as he looked toward the Golden Core cultivator he had never truly noticed before. He had some recollection of this person. The last time Wan Hun visited Gold Thunder Mountain, he had brought 3 Golden Core disciples. Wei Ji had merely glanced at them without much interest. Who could have imagined that this seemingly insignificant Golden Core cultivator had been controlling Wan Hun from the shadows and possessed such overwhelming strength? He was completely outmatched. Wan Hun stood respectfully next to Chu Xian, expressing his gratitude. "Thank you for your assistance, master." Xing Ji stared at Chu Xian for a long time, utterly dumbfounded by the turn of events. Thud. 2 arms and 4 arms escorted Lu Ruoshui to Chu Xian's side. "Both of you, eat this." Chu Xian casually handed out 2 bee eggs. Wei Ji and Lu Ruoshui exchanged a glance, each giving a wry smile before consuming the bee eggs. Given the current circumstances, they had no choice but to submit to control if they wanted to survive. "Master." Wei Ji and Lu Ruoshui sighed deeply, bowing their heads in resignation. "Dispel the illusion," Chu Xian commanded nonchalantly. "Yes," Wei Ji replied, retrieving the illusionary array disc and gently tapping it. The scenery of ruined buildings and desolation in Flying Thunder Valley instantly reverted back to its former picturesque state of clear mountains and waters. Chu Xian then turned to Xing Ji, who managed a bitter smile. "I suppose I'll take one as well." Wan Hun swept his gaze over the 3 subdued cultivators, feeling a peculiar sense of satisfaction. Finally, others had fallen into the same predicament as him. For some reason, this even brought him a bit of joy. Today's events must not be disclosed. "Anyone who disobeys will face death," Chu Xian stated calmly. "Xing Ji, make sure you keep your disciples in line." Xing Ji nodded vigorously. "Master, rest assured, they have already taken the heart-eating powder. They wouldn't dare to defy my orders." Chu Xian's smile was tinged with irony. "That's good to hear." Xianxia the Oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Those disciples from the Corpsing sect promptly knelt down. "Please be assured, Senior, we swear never to reveal what happened today." Chu Xian nodded slightly. He waved his hand, drawing Hu back into the corpse tower, then said with a slight smile, "From now on, we are all one family. There is no need to be formal." Wei Ji, Lu Ruoshui, and the others, nursing their wounds, slowly got to their feet. Upon hearing Chu Xian's words, they couldn't help but smirk internally. One family? Trust that if you will, but they certainly didn't. Wei Ji's gaze lingered on Hu. The Corpse King seemed familiar, yet he couldn't quite place where he had seen it before. Corpse puppets all look similar, big and ugly. Maybe I'm just mistaken, he thought to himself. Chu Xian spoke casually. "We are near the Corpsing sect. Let's go there to discuss further matters." Xing Ji responded with respect. "Yes, I will arrange for it immediately." Chapter 285, Someone from the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 285, Someone from the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect. At dusk, within the Grand Hall of the Corpsing sect, the massive doors thunderously closed, leaving only Chu Xian and his 4 companions inside. Outside the Grand Hall, the Golden Core disciples of the Corpsing sect looked at each other in confusion. "Hey! Why can that Golden Core cultivator enter the Grand Hall while we can't? Yeah, is he special or something? I remember that person is Lin Fan from the Myriad Souls sect. He's only at the 2nd layer of Golden Core." SarTheNovelFire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. "I don't know, I don't dare to ask. The three corpsing Sect Golden Core disciples who had witnessed Chu Xian's terrifying abilities just listened to their fellow brothers' discussions, practicing the art of keeping one's peace. They acted as if they heard nothing. Inside the hall, Chu Xian cut straight to the point. Wei Ji, explain how you came from Central Continent to Northern Cold. Wei Ji was taken aback by how easily Chu Xian called out his name. All the explanations he had prepared along the way were stuck in his throat, unable to emerge. Wei Ji? Xing Ji and Wan Hun murmured the name, pondering over it. It took them a moment to realize. Isn't this a nascent soul cultivator from the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace? What's he doing in Northern Cold? Wei Ji managed a wry smile. So, you knew my identity all along. Lu Ruoxue spoke up in a low voice. I am Lu Ruoxue, also a nascent soul cultivator from Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. Tell me how you ended up in Northern Cold, Chu Xian said calmly, his voice firm, and don't think about lying. Your lives are in my hands. With a resigned sigh, Wei Ji had no choice but to recount the persecution they faced from Zhao Kai and their subsequent decision to flee to Northern Cold. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow after hearing the explanation. The Realm Protection Array. Such a thing indeed existed. However, Chu Xian hadn't expected that Mystic Azure Realm would have a Realm Protection Array. It seemed the Reincarnation Divine Church placed great importance on Mystic Azure Star. Like a Sect's Grand Protective Array, the Realm Protection Array was immense, meant to cover an entire world. Its creation required vast resources, including at least 2 Deity Transformation Stage Array Masters and 8 Nascent Soul Stage Array Masters to set up properly. Moreover, setting up the array was time-consuming and laborious. It was meant to encompass the whole cultivation star, and any flaw could lead to its failure. Chu Xian recalled a conversation he had with Shimin Qing at an outpost battlefront. Not every cultivation star had a realm protection array. Only those stars deemed crucial by the Reincarnation Divine Church were equipped with one. For instance, the majestic sword Sect's Dawn Star did not have one because it was located in the core area of the Reincarnation Divine Church's territory, and there was no immediate need to establish such an array. Considering this, it made sense that the Reincarnation Divine Church had invested heavily in setting up the Realm Protection Array on Mystic Azure Star, a resource-rich location that was also at the front line of their conflict with the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect. Naturally, they couldn't allow the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect to capture it easily. So, the locations you two occupied, Gold Thunder Mountain and Flying Thunder Valley, are where 2 of the major nodes of the Realm Protection Array are situated? Chu Xian narrowed his eyes. Wei Ji nodded affirmatively. Exactly. The Realm Protection Array is rarely activated, it is reserved for times of dire peril. Therefore, only the upper echelons of the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace are aware of the locations of these nodes. I only learned of them after I stole some classified information before leaving the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. Chu Xian nodded slightly. Wei Ji and Lu Ruoxue's lives were in his hands, and he doubted they would dare to lie to him. Considering everything, it indeed seemed plausible. For now, all that was left was to wait for the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect to make their move. You may all return to your previous duties. Everything remains as it was, Chu Xian instructed with a wave of his hand. When people from the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect arrive, just send me a message. Wei Ji and the others stood up and bowed. Yes. Moments later, Chu Xian was on Wan Hun's flying magic treasure, heading back to the Yin-Sol mountain range. As he looked down at the rivers and mountains below, a smile crept across his face. With this, he had Northern Cold, 1/5 of Mystic Azure Star, under his control. Blue Star. During the days waiting for the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect's cultivators to arrive, Chu Xian was far from idle. The Ice Soul crystals were now in place, and he couldn't afford to waste a single moment. Advancing to the 5th level of the Nascent Soul stage was urgent. Only with sufficient strength could he command from a position of authority. 12 years passed in the blink of an eye. The basket of Ice Soul crystals before Chu Xian, which had once been full, was now depleted, leaving only dull, shattered remnants on the ground. Around him, a vast expanse of frost had formed, turning the surrounding high-rise buildings into sculptures of ice. Sunlight reflected off the ice, casting a spectrum of colors, yet it could not melt the frost by even a fraction. This was a local phenomenon created by cultivating the mysterious heavenly ice soul scroll. Suddenly, a chilling cold burst forth from within Xianxia, spreading in all directions with unprecedented intensity. Birds flying overhead, already burdened by the local cold, now fell heavily to the ground, turning into lifelike ice sculptures upon impact. As Xianxia's aura surged to a new level, he opened his eyes, which had taken on an icy blue hue. "Nascent soul fifth layer," he exclaimed joyfully. The augmentation from the ice soul crystals had accelerated his cultivation rate significantly, making him realize that his treatment might even surpass that of a holy son of the reincarnation divine church. "It's time to return to mystic azure star," Xianxia mused. "The heaven-shaking divine sect has been biding its time for long enough. They must be ready to make their move by now." Connecting his mind with the mirror, Xianxia stepped back into his cultivation chamber at Black Devil Peak. Given the clear situation in Northern Cold, if the heaven-shaking divine sect didn't approach him soon, he would consider them fools, unworthy of contending with the reincarnation divine church. He might as well pledge allegiance to the reincarnation divine church directly. There's actually a message. Xianxia infused his spiritual chi into the transmission jade. Wanhan's voice immediately emerged from it. "Master, messages have come in from Wei Ji, Lu Ruoshui, and Jingji." A black-robed cultivator claiming to be Shijun Tian from the heaven-shaking divine sect has visited, inviting them to join under the heaven-shaking divine sect's banner. He bestowed numerous treasures upon them and promised divine items for transcending to the deity transformation phase. Shijun Tian has also approached the Myriad Souls sect with the same request. However, he expressed a desire to meet the person behind me before discussing further about the treasures. "Master, I think this person is rather formidable. Do you plan to meet him?" After listening to Wanhan's message, Xianxia frowned slightly but soon relaxed. This Shijun Tian was no ordinary figure. He had discerned that Wanhan was under his control, though he surely hadn't guessed that Wei Ji, Lu Ruoshui, and Jingji were also under Xianxia's influence. "Arrange a meeting with him at the Corpsing sect." "I'll accompany you," Xianxia instructed calmly. "If he is apprehensive, let him bring Wei Ji and Lu Ruoshui along." "Yes, I will relay the message right away," Wanhan responded respectfully. Chapter 286, Better I Come and Take It Myself Plus, Turn Off Reset. In the grand hall of the Corpsing sect, Xianxia and Wanhan once again found themselves entering the familiar setting. This time, several individuals were already waiting inside. Sitting at the head of the gathering was the black-robed cultivator from the heaven-shaking divine sect, Shijun Tian. Accompanying him were Wei Ji, Jingji, and Lu Ruoshui, who all displayed smiles and acted with utmost respect towards Shijun Tian. Upon noticing the arrival of Wanhan and another, Shijun Tian's gaze shifted. His eyes moved past Wanhan and settled on Xianxia with a curious expression. "And this is," he inquired, his tone filled with intrigue. Shijun Tian had already conducted a thorough investigation of the sects in Northern Cold. He was well aware of who Lin Fan was, supposedly just a minor cultivator at the second layer of Golden Core. Yet, here he was, the puppet master behind Wanhan, a fact Shijun Tian had never managed to discern, a revelation that he found truly unsettling. Shijun Tian stood up, greeting them with a smile. "Greetings, fellow Taoist one. And how should I address this distinguished person beside him?" Xianxia responded calmly, "A name is but a code, knowing my identity is sufficient for you, fellow Taoist sure." Laughing heartily, Shijun Tian replied, "Very well. Then I shall address you as fellow Taoist Lin Fan, if that is acceptable?" "That will do," Xianxia nodded slightly. Jingji rose and offered his seat at the head. "Please, fellow Taoist Lin, take this seat here." Xianxia took the offered seat opposite Shijun Tian. As the grand hall door slowly closed, the room's atmosphere tensed subtly. Shijun Tian then began, smiling, "Fellow Taoist Lin, you are surely aware of the heaven-shaking divine sect." "Of course. And, you must also be aware of the long-standing grudge between the heaven-shaking divine sect and the reincarnation divine church? Indeed, I am. Continuing, Shi Jingtian added, then you must understand that the reincarnation divine church is no longer as powerful as it once was. Joining the heaven-shaking divine sect now would be a wise decision for you. Once Mystic Azure Star falls under our control, those who have switched allegiances early will certainly receive the sect's favor. Chu Xian responded with a light chuckle, and what sort of favor are you suggesting? Shi Jingtian leaned forward slightly, his voice lowering as he unveiled the incentives, the finest magic treasures, secret spiritual sense techniques, and even items for deity transformation. Chu Xian smiled faintly. Ma Feiyue once told me the same thing, but unlike fellow Daoist Shi, they didn't speak in vague promises. They were much more concrete in their words. Upon hearing this, Wei Ji and the others exchanged curious glances, especially Wan Hun, who wore an expression that suggested he was trying to avoid notice, focusing solely on his own breathing. Feather transformation heaven palace's Ma Feiyue? Wasn't that person killed by you? How could she have possibly said such a thing to you? Shi Jingtian sneered, oh? What do you mean by concrete? Please, enlighten me. Chu Xian spoke calmly. They promised that if I helped the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace and ultimately assisted in repelling the forces of the heaven-shaking divine sect, they would grant me the position of an elder, 2 top-tier magic treasures, 2 nascent soul-level secret techniques for spiritual sense, and 5 top-tier nascent soul-level talismans. A century's worth of offerings in the form of spirit-nourishing essence was also promised. If you spot this narrative on Amazon, know that it has been stolen. Report the violation. He turned his gaze to Shi Jingtian, whose lips twitched in displeasure. Fellow Daoist Shi, compared to the vague promises you've made, doesn't the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace's commitment seem far more grounded in reality? Wei Ji and Lu Ruoxue both unconsciously touched their noses. Ma Feiyue was a bloodthirsty, battle-hungry maniac. Her mind was filled with the craving for power, not promises like that. Wan Hun and Jingji exchanged looks. They were utterly bewildered by their master's audacity in fabricating such tales, without so much as a blush. Shi Jingtian's face darkened. He had never interacted with the loyal faction of the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. He had no way of knowing whether Chu Xian's words were true. However, with the current turbulence, it seemed plausible that the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, having made contact with the northern cold demon cultivators, might indeed be trying to draw them into their fold. Shi Jingtian pondered for a moment, shaking his head. Fellow Daoist Lin, your words are misguided. The reincarnation divine sect is already in decline. When the 2 sects clash for supremacy, they will surely fall. Chu Xian's voice remained indifferent. I don't believe that. Shi Jingtian's face twisted with irritation. You don't believe it? Then what am I even saying, he thought, his mind racing. Shi Jingtian's face turned stormy. Fellow Daoist Lin, do not be so reckless. I represent the Heavenly Shattering Sect. A 6th-tier cultivation sect. He slammed his palm onto the table. His aura surged explosively. The sect hall was filled with the intense presence of a nascent soul cultivator, the air charged with tension as decorative vases shattered under the weight of the powerful aura. Jingji watched with dismay as his hall was being unintentionally vandalized during the heated exchange. He thought to himself, somewhat helplessly, can't we have a civilized conversation without breaking things? Shi Jingtian, now standing and slamming his hand on the table to emphasize his point, declared boldly, if you do not wish to join the heaven-shaking divine sect under my banner, then I have no choice but to send you to the underworld today. His aura surged, an implicit threat in the powerful wave of energy that filled the hall. Chu Xian scoffed dismissively. Fellow Daoist Shi, for a cultivator of your stature, such a lack of composure is unbecoming. Shi Jingtian sneered, those who refuse to abandon the darkness and come into the light are nothing but dogs of the reincarnation divine church. Seize him. Let's capture this traitor. Yes. Wei Ji, Lu Ruoshui, and Jing Ji let out a low roar and pounced at the same time. Then, Shi Juntian was captured. Shi Juntian? Shi Juntian's eyes widened in disbelief. What are you doing? Not me. Wei Ji's face was expressionless as he confirmed, yes, it's you. Following his declaration, Wei Ji and the others turned to Chu Xian and bowed deeply. We pay our respects, master. Chu Xian nodded slightly. We're all family here, there's no need for such formalities. The four stood back up, their allegiance unmistakably clear. Shi Juntian was dumbfounded. He couldn't comprehend the reality that not only had Wan Hun been under Chu Xian's control, but Wei Ji, Lu Ruoshui, and Jing Ji were too. When did this happen? Shi Juntian thought, his mind racing through the possibilities. Chu Xian, smiling warmly, suggested, now that things are clear, can we have a proper discussion, fellow Daoist Shi? Shi Juntian managed a wry smile, yes, of course. Release him, Chu Xian waved dismissively. Swiftly, the ropes, gauze, and blood cords retracted into the hands of Wei Ji and the others, who then casually returned to their seats and resumed their tea, as if the dramatic confrontation had never occurred. Shi Juntian sat down again, his earlier arrogance washed away, replaced by a wariness of Chu Xian. Chu Xian continued calmly, which side I join is irrelevant to me. Shi Juntian chuckled bitterly, I understand. I assure you, fellow Daoist Lin, that should you decide to join our heaven-shaking divine sect, whatever the feather transformation Heaven Palace promised, we will double it once Mystic Azure Star is integrated into our territory. However, deity transformation materials are exceedingly rare, I can only promise one. But I will ensure delivery within 50 years. If it takes longer, I, Shi Juntian, will present my head to you. Chu Xian dismissed the offer with a gesture, no need for that. You shouldn't have to present your head, I'll come and collect it myself. Shi Juntian, momentarily speechless, soon recovered as they continued to discuss various matters. After thoroughly understanding the heaven-shaking divine sect's plans, Chu Xian finally bid Shi Juntian farewell. SAR the Novel Fire, the net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Today's conversation with fellow Daoist Shi was most enlightening. I consider you a kindred spirit, Chu Xian said with a smile. Shi Juntian's lips twitched, a forced smile hiding his discomfort, indeed. In my heart, fellow Daoist Lin is certainly a kindred spirit. This is a transmission jade, please keep it well, Shi Juntian added, presenting a small, enchanted Chapter 287, The Disciple Becomes the Master Plus, Turn Off Reset. After Shi Juntian's departure, Wei Ji and Lu Ruoshui returned to their respective bases at Gold Thunder Mountain and Flying Thunder Valley. Chu Xian, alongside Wan Hun, headed back to the Insol mountain range. Chu Xian chose not to take a hidden beyond Shi Juntian, mindful of not antagonizing the heaven-shaking divine sect, especially since he had already complicated relations with the reincarnation divine church. Adding another powerful enemy to his list would make his path forward significantly more difficult. Upon returning to Haisha Peak, Chu Xian immediately secluded himself in his cultivation chamber. He connected his mind with the mirror, casting a thread of his consciousness into the cave world to check on the young man he had not monitored for some time. Now that he had a moment to spare, he was curious about his progress. Calculating the time, Chu Xian figured that with the time dilation between Mystic Azure and the cave world, a considerable amount of time must have passed there. When he last left, Xiaohua was just 15 and had just opened his insect orifice. With 42 years having passed in the cave world, Xiaohua would now be in his late 50s. Normally, he should have already advanced to at least a silver insect master. Curious about Xiaohua's progress and whether he had access to better cultivation methods, Chu Xian decided to observe him directly. In the Fire Ant tribe's spacious and comfortably appointed learning hall, the youth sat neatly on their seats covered with soft furs, designed to facilitate their learning in the most comfortable manner. Embedded pearls in the ceiling emitted a soft glow, illuminating the red-bricked room. Among the group of teenagers was a notably younger child, around 7 or 8 years old, whose presence was particularly striking due to his age. At the front of the room, a robust middle-aged man with flecks of gray in his hair was lecturing on the specifics of cultivating fire ants. Fire ants thrive in warm, humid environments, so we must also be mindful of our diets, ensuring our insect orifices maintain similar conditions, the instructor explained, outlining how such care could accelerate the ant's growth. Chu Xian couldn't help but chuckle as he recognized the instructor. It was Xiaohua, now grown and teaching the next generation. Over 40 years had transformed the once young listener into a knowledgeable teacher, passing on his learning and experiences. A moment later, he suddenly inquired, "Who can tell me, what is the fire ant's favorite food?" The youths looked at each other, uncertain. A young man, bearing a resemblance to Xiaohua, eagerly raised his hand and exclaimed, "I know, it's mealworms. Black mealworms, yellow mealworms, gray mealworms, in short, they adore all kinds of mealworms. They also favor the gray ground worm, though not as passionately as they do mealworms. The tail has been stolen. If detected on Amazon, report the violation." Xiaohua nodded with a smile. "Indeed, it seems Xiaoyan has absorbed everything I've taught. You should all strive to learn from Xiaoyan, have you heard?" "We have," the youths responded loudly. However, Chu Xian noticed that some youths were rather reluctant as they spoke. Especially a few among them, whose gazes towards Xiaoyan were filled with envy. Outside the window, the elderly patriarch, Lai Xiao, sighed lightly upon witnessing this scene. His face bore both joy and concern. Xiaohua's grandson, Xiaoyan, now 7, possessed a talent even more profound than Xiaohua's. At 3, he had independently awakened an insect orifice. By 15, he would surely open even more insect orifices. Xiaohua often called on Xiaoyan to answer questions, yet seldom did he ask Lai Yong's grandson, Lai Ting. The reason was the deepening rift between Xiaohua and Lai Yong. Since Xiaohua's son, in the prime of his life, had died under mysterious circumstances, the discord had grown irreconcilable. Both Xiaohua and Lai Yong were now silver insect masters, pillars of the fire ant tribe. Lai Xiao had exhausted every effort to reconcile the two silver insect masters. He strived to prevent their conflict from escalating further. Yet, he always felt that Xiaoyan might also face ostracism from other youths in the tribe. Just like Xiaohua had, over 40 years ago. Ultimately, it led to an uncontrollable disaster. This was not a good omen. At that moment, a figure approached Lai Xiao. "Patriarch, the 5th elder has left the tribe again, heading east." Lai Xiao's gaze darkened. The 5th elder, Lai He, had been leaving the tribe frequently. Reports had reached him that Lai He was secretly meeting with an insect master from the rock ant tribe. The rock ant tribe and the fire ant tribe were located in adjacent caves. The rock ant tribe coveted the fertile cave occupied by the fire ant tribe, often harassing them and stealing resources. Over the years, the two tribes had accrued many disputes and grievances. Even silver insect masters had perished. Efforts by the thunder ant tribe to mediate had been futile. If Lai He was indeed in contact with an insect master from the rock ant tribe, it would suggest a betrayal. This was something Lai Xiao could not tolerate. In his heart, the fire ant tribe was paramount. Lai Xiao wanted proof, yet it eluded him. Because Lai He's son was Lai Yong, a silver insect master of the fire ant tribe. Without evidence, even as patriarch, Lai Xiao could not easily move against Lai He. This time, Lai Xiao planned to take some of his confidants and personally investigate. If Lai He was wronged, he would clear his name. If Lai He truly conspired with the enemy, he would capture him and bring him before the tribe for trial. The lesson concluded. Xiaohua took a sip of water, and his grandson rushed to his side. "Grandfather, I answered all your questions. Am I not very smart?" Xiaoyan asked, his large eyes twinkling. Xiaohua laughed heartily. "Clever. My grandson is certainly clever. Come, let's go home for dinner." He took his grandson's hand and strode out of the classroom. Xiaohua always carried a fragment of the mirror, allowing Chu Xian to see the current state of the fire ant tribe through him. It's been over 40 years, and it seems there's been little change. Chu Xian shook his head. The tribal structure in this cave world was overly rigid. Among the surrounding smaller tribes, the fire ant tribe was considered the elite. It was unlikely to be easily overthrown by other tribes. No change was more normal than this. However, the tribe does seem to have its fair share of people missing arms and legs. Chu Xian pondered. Looking around, he saw many disabilities. They all appeared to be the result of Yao insect bites. Thump. A ball rolled from a distance, gently hitting Xiaoyan's foot. Two timid children stood in place, daring only to watch from afar, not approaching. Chu Xian glanced at them and noticed they too bore injuries. Likely victims of Yao insect attacks. A flash of anger crossed Xiaoyan's eyes, swiftly masked. However, Chu Xian saw it all very clearly. SE the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At that moment, a figure hastened to Xiaohua's side, whispering into his ear. Xiaohua furrowed his brow, and after a long moment, he gently patted Xiaoyan's head. Yenner, grandfather has urgent business to attend to, you'll need to go home alone. All right, grandfather, please be careful, Xiaoyan replied obediently. Xiaohua, accompanied by an insect master, quickly departed from the fire ant tribe. Chu Xian looked back. He saw Xiaohua's grandson, Xiaoyan, now astride a smaller child, pummeling him relentlessly. Chu Xian couldn't help but shake his head. The child beside them, obviously intimidated by Xiaohua's stature, dared not retaliate against Xiaoyan. The boy could only suffer Xiaoyan's bullying. Clearly, Xiaohua's discipline over his grandson was lacking. However, Chu Xian's concern was not with the bullied child. His attention was drawn to the looming crisis within the fire ant tribe. He had overheard Xiaohua's conversation with his subordinates clearly. Patriarch Lai Xiao was tracking 5th Elder Lai He, seeking proof of his collusion with the rock ant tribe. However, Lai He had discovered them. In a desperate move, Lai He had joined forces with an insect master from the rock ant tribe, attempting to assassinate Lai Xiao in the wilderness. Now, Lai Xiao and his men were ensnared in a deadly encirclement. As one of the few silver insect masters within the tribe, Xiaohua naturally had to rush to the rescue. Without a second thought, he immediately led his loyal followers to the scene. The territory isn't large, but the troubles certainly are. Though I can't participate, I can still enjoy the spectacle. Chu Xian suddenly felt as if he were merely an observer, watching a plot unfold in a game. Moments later, Xiaohua, with a dozen devoted followers, arrived at the scene. Many insect masters and Yao insects lay dead. The rocks and soil were stained with fresh blood. Lai Xiao, protected by two loyal followers, took refuge in a cave, barely holding off the attacks. Lai He! You heartless traitor, colluding with the enemy to attack your own patriarch. Xiaohua roared as he led his followers into the fray. Lai He, now frenzied with rage, bellowed, Xiaohua, you've come at the right time, I've longed to kill you. Brother, this one's yours. I'll continue dealing with that old man, said a rock ant tribe insect master with a sinister grin. Rest assured, this one's mine, he replied with a slap of his hand. Two giant ants, each over 2 meters long, appeared before him. Their fierce, sharp mandibles gleamed menacingly. Their bodies were covered in thick, stony carapaces, hence the name rock ants. A case of theft. This story is not rightfully on Amazon. If you spot it, report the violation. Xiaohua's gaze turned icy. It's you, Wu. You've tried to assassinate me time and again. Today, we settle all scores, old and new. As the scion of the fire ant tribe, he had naturally been a prime target of the rock ant tribe. Wu, a silver insect master, had repeatedly attempted his life. Once, his heart had nearly been pierced by Wu. Fortunately, he always carried the shard of the mirror. The shard, incredibly hard, had blocked the lethal stab and saved his life. Xiaohua growled. A fire ant and a black-backed ant appeared one after the other, charging at the rock ants. Xiaohua and Wu, their eyes cold, drew daggers and entwined in combat. Chu Xian extended his senses, finding that the battles among the other insect masters were similarly fierce. Their insect orifices are quite intriguing, seemingly infused with the power of space, allowing them to shrink Yao insects and store them within, Chu Xian remarked, amazed. This must be a unique physiological feature of the cave dwellers. The two factions were evenly matched, and the battle remained indecisive. Suddenly, another team hurried to the scene. Leading them was a man with graying temples but a more robust physique than Xiaohua. It was Lai Yong and his trusted followers. Lai He was overjoyed. Act quickly, eliminate Lai Xiao and Xiaohua. With them gone, the fire ant tribe will be ours. The rock ant tribe will never harm us. Sherwu also cackled sinisterly. Yes, your father has shared much intelligence with us, sparing many of our warriors from disaster. Your father has indeed performed monumental services for the rock ant tribe. I solemnly promise that from now on, the rock ant tribe will live in harmony with the fire ant tribe. Xiaohua and Lai Xiao's hearts sank. Lai Yong, a silver insect master. Once he joined the fray, he would undoubtedly tip the scales and decide the outcome. Upon hearing these words, Lai Yong's face showed immense struggle. Lai Xiao urgently cried out, Lai Yong. The discord between you and Xiaohua is not irreconcilable. Do not fall for the rock ant tribe's divisive schemes. Xiaohua also roared, the rock ant tribe has nefarious intentions. Lai Yong, do not listen to your father's slanders, he's gone mad. Lai Yong sighed deeply, Father, I was born a man of the fire ant tribe and will die as its spirit. How could I forget so many of our forebears who died at the hands of rock ant tribe insect masters? Enough said. Father, step aside. Patriarch, I will rescue you. He led two fire ants, one large and one small, and charged, suddenly breaking through Lai He and storming into the cave. Xiaohua immediately sensed something was amiss. The next moment, shrieks echoed from within the cave. When Lai Yong re-emerged from the cave, he was holding the aged head of Lai Xiao. He looked at Xiaohua and said lightly, do not listen to my father's slanders, how could you utter such words? Act now, kill Xiaohua together. He growled. Search *the-novelier.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ha 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 ha. Well done. Sherwu laughed maniacally, his blade work becoming even fiercer. Xiaohua was quickly encircled. His bronze insect master screamed in agony as they fell. Even Xiaohua's fire ant and black-backed ant were battered and on the brink of collapse. Bloodied all over, Xiaohua tried to break through but could not clear a path. Spare my life. I'll do anything. Xiaohua gritted his teeth and shouted. Lai Yong coldly replied, not needed. 3 years ago, your follower stole a ration meant for my wife, leading to the death of her fire ant. 2 years ago, your grandson broke my grandson's leg, a grudge I have always remembered. Xiaohua, you think just because you have the patriarch's backing, you're the next leader? Today, I want you to watch as your grandson dies. Xiaohua was stunned. Then he saw an insect master holding a child in one hand, approaching Lai Yong. The child was bruised and battered, it was his grandson, Xiaoyan. Grandfather! Save me! Xiaoyan screamed in terror. Lai Yong sneered, when my men caught him, this little beast was still riding on another child, relentlessly smashing his head. Xiaohua, you've indeed raised a fine child. Chapter 289, A Fortuitous Change of Host Plus, Turn Off Reset. Xiaohua roared in desperation, impossible. Stop talking nonsense. Put Yenner down, he's just a child. Lai Yong laughed uproariously, a child? The fault of the son is the teaching of the father. I will kill him, and then I will kill you. With that, his knife swept across swiftly. In an instant, fresh blood spurted from Xiaoyan's neck as he collapsed to the ground. Xiaohua frantically tried to piece together his grandson's head and body. But the two fire ants had already charged, one from each side. With a crunching sound, Xiaohua was killed on the spot. Lai He and Sherwu stepped forward, laughing heartily. Well done. Now, the fire ant tribe will be ours. Lai Yong managed a strained smile, turned around, and said with a complex expression, "Father, you never told me about your dealings with the rock ant tribe." Lai He sighed deeply. "Such matters couldn't be shared with you, I feared you might leak them. Now, with Lai Xiao dead, we can easily pin everything on Xiaohua. Just say that he, unable to become patriarch for so long, harbored thoughts of assassinating Lai Xiao. You, Lai Yong, discovered this and heroically struck down Xiaohua, alas, too late to save the patriarch." Shiwu smirked slightly, "A clever plan indeed." Lai Yong nodded, then suddenly said, "I think adding another corpse might make the story even more believable." No sooner had he spoken than his two fire ants unexpectedly lunged at the unguarded Shiwu. Shiwu, shocked and furious, desperately tried to summon his own rock ants. But it was too late. The sharp forelegs of the fire ants had already pierced his chest. The searing flames engulfed his body. Shiwu screamed in agony. Soon, there was no more sound from him. The two rock ants, linked to his psyche, also screamed and fell motionless. Lai Hei's eyes widened in shock. "Son. What have you done?" Lai Yong calmly replied, "Killed him, can't you see?" Lai Hei, stomping in anger, exclaimed, "Of course, I know you killed Shiwu, but why?" Lai Yong scoffed, "You didn't actually believe Shiwu's nonsense, did you? The ambitions of the rock ant tribe are clear to all the neighboring tribes. Now, with 2 silver insect masters from our tribe dead, our strength is greatly diminished. It's likely that the rock ant tribe might seize this opportunity to attack. Killing Shiwu now weakens them a bit." Lai Hei was startled, then enlightened. "Son, you are the smarter one." He gave a thumbs up. "Let's clean up the battlefield and leave." Lai Yong spoke evenly, "After we return, we'll say that Xiaohua conspired with Shiwu to assassinate Lai Xiao. The narrative has been illicitly obtained. Should you discover it on Amazon, report the violation. Search *the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality." Lai Hei was effusive in his praise. "Very good. We'll do as you suggest." While searching through Xiaohua's clothes, Lai Yong suddenly felt something hard at his chest. He struggled to pull it out from between the layers of clothing. It was a shard of a mirror. "Huh, what's this?" Lai Yong couldn't help but be surprised. What could be so important that Xiaohua carried it on his person? Instinct told him this was no ordinary item. He immediately pocketed it. "Indeed, I was not mistaken about Lai Yong," Chu Xian mused appreciatively. "Brave and clever, with a temperament far superior to Xiaohua's. Finally, a more formidable host." Chu Xian reflected deeply. He had been unable to intervene in the recent battle, merely observing from the sidelines. A change in host, however, might prove beneficial. Lai Yong might well achieve even greater heights. Nighttime. Lai Yong returned with the bodies of Lai Xiao, Xiaohua, and Shiwu. He told the people a convoluted and incredible tale. Whether they believed him or not didn't matter. The important part was that in his story, he occupied the moral high ground, positioning himself to judge others. Moreover, the presence of Shiwu's body, a silver insect master from the rock ant tribe, made the fire ant tribe's animosity towards the rock ant tribe drive them to instinctively support and believe Lai Yong. Combined with Lai Yong's behavior over the decades, which had been more laudable than Xiaohua's, all these factors quickly quelled the unrest within the fire ant tribe. The elders decided that they would elect Lai Yong as the new chieftain of the fire ant tribe the following day. In a room built of red bricks, Lai Yong washed and, clad only in a soft, white leather kilt, returned to his bed. Beside him, only his 2 fire ants, deep in slumber, kept him company, closer to him than even his wife and children. Lai Yong personally prepared 2 large bowls of food and placed them before the fire ants. "Big fire, little fire, you 2 played a significant role today, enjoy a hearty meal." The 2 fire ants animatedly moved their antennae and then began to feast. Lai Yong smiled faintly. The larger of the 2 fire ants had been with him since he was 15. This fire ant was fiercer and stronger than its siblings, and its flames were hotter and more intense. Lai Yong often marveled at his luck in selecting the best ant egg back then. Ah, the mirror shard from Xiaohua. Lai Yong seemed to remember something. He walked over to the table and picked up a shard of mirror with 2 fingers. He reclined on the bed, examining the shard closely, but could see nothing unusual about it. Is it just my imagination? Is this merely an ordinary piece of mirror? He was about to set the mirror shard down when suddenly, Chu Xian's consciousness condensed into words, which appeared on the surface of the mirror. Orifice opening scripture. Lai Yong noticed the lines of text. He was initially stunned, then his expression turned to one of ecstatic delight. This scripture promised the opening of an additional insect orifice upon cultivation. No wonder Xiaohua had been able to open 2 insect orifices. It had been with the aid of this orifice opening scripture. I already possess 2 insect orifices. If I can open another, that will make 3 insect orifices, Lai Yong mused. I am only 48 years old, given some time, I might even break through to the level of a golden insect master. Overjoyed, Lai Yong immediately began to silently recite the orifice opening scripture and embarked earnestly on his cultivation. Chu Xian nodded slightly. This Lai Yong, indeed, displayed a sharper intuition than Xiaohua. He had only needed to reveal the orifice opening scripture once, and Lai Yong had nearly memorized it entirely. Changing hosts was indeed a good choice, Chu Xian thought with a slight smile. Time for this old man to play his part again. The orifice opening scripture was derived from the foundation establishment stage technique known as the bloodworm's tome. Chu Xian still had other goo insect techniques at hand, such as a golden core stage technique called the fire goo refinement method. To him, these were no longer of much use. However, he could modify them and continue to provide them to Lai Yong to help him strive for higher levels of cultivation. However, Lai Yong has good intuition, perhaps he could modify the technique on his own. I might as well teach him the original text directly. It's not about being lazy, it's about letting him exercise his skills. Chu Xian once again condensed his consciousness into text, displaying the first half of the fire goo refinement method. Still, he chose to omit words like goo insects and spiritual qi, substituting them with terms like yao insects and energy. As for the second half, well, that could be exchanged for cultivation methods. Chapter 290, The Purpose of the Mirror and the Rock Ant Cultivation Method plus, Turn-Off Reset. Lai Yong stared at the reconstituted text, his eyes widening in disbelief. The fire goo refinement method was perfectly suited to enhancing those fire-attributed yao insects. If he practiced this technique, the power of his 2 fire ants could climb to the next level. But why was there only the first half? Where's the rest? Lai Yong clutched the mirror shard, shaking it vigorously as if trying to shake the remaining text out of it. Chu Xian chuckled softly, materializing a line of text. Lai Yong read the line and arched an eyebrow, the rock ant cultivation method. Could it be that this mirror will only reveal the rest of the text if I obtain the rock ant cultivation method? Lai Yong frowned deeply, pondering, what does this mirror need the rock ant cultivation method for? He thought long and hard but couldn't figure it out. To get the rock ant cultivation method, I'd need to acquire the rock ant copper statue, which is vital to the rock ant tribe. Lai Yong felt a twinge of regret. Had I known, I would have captured Sherwu alive and forced him to divulge the entire rock ant cultivation method. He paused, the look of regret on his face swiftly replaced by confidence. However, it doesn't matter. Once I become a golden insect master, crushing the rock ant tribe is merely a matter of time. With this thought, Lai Yong placed the mirror shard into a soft leather pouch and secured it close to his body. The next day, the fire ant tribe held the chieftain succession ceremony. Thanks to his own prestige, Lai Yong was unsurprisingly inaugurated as the chieftain, becoming the 35th leader of the fire ant tribe. Chu Xian observed that people in the cave world generally did not live very long. If one did not become an insect master, most would die by 60. Those who achieved the rank of bronze insect master could live to their 80s or 90s, thanks to the power regurgitated by their yao insects. Silver insect masters lived longer, typically around 120 years. As for golden insect masters and beyond, they could only add another 20 years or so to their lives. Unlike cultivators, each major advancement did not dramatically extend their lifespan by hundreds or thousands of years. The succession kept Lai Yong busy until the afternoon. Finally finding a moment to himself, he approached an unremarkable house within the tribe. However, this ordinary-looking house was guarded by two aged bronze insect masters. Despite their age, their eyes were clear and vigilant. Should anyone attempt to breach the house, they would immediately summon fire ants from their insect orifices to slay any intruders. "Greetings, chieftain," the two elders bowed deeply. Lai Yong nodded slightly. "I need to select an ant egg." "Please follow me, chieftain," the elder on the left responded respectfully. "Unauthorized tail usage. If you spot this story on Amazon, report the violation." Moments later, Lai Yong arrived at the tribe's subterranean level. Preserving fire ant eggs in a state where they do not hatch yet retain their vitality requires an exacting environment. Only the sulfur pools beneath the fire ant tribe's territory provide suitable conditions. Not only do these pools maintain the eggs' viability, but they also subtly enhance them. The ant eggs that Lai Yong, Xiaohua, and others had chosen were all nurtured in these sulfur pools for over 30 years, resulting in particularly strong ants once hatched. "Chieftain, these 5 ant eggs have all been nurtured for over 30 years, the elder said with reverence. "Are there none older?" Lai Yong frowned. The elder appeared troubled. Lai Yong pressed harder, "Speak." The elder then confessed in a low voice, "The 50-year-old egg was taken by the 5th elder a year ago. The 2 40-year-old eggs were taken by him half a year ago." Lai Yong's frown deepened. How many benefits had his father really sold out to the rock ant tribe? After a pause, Lai Yong said, "This matter must not be spoken of to others." The elder nodded, "Understood." Lai Yong's gaze swept over the 5 ant eggs. Chu Xian also extended his consciousness, scanning the eggs. "Ah, this egg's interior is a purplish red, even more intense than the golden red of the last one," Chu Xian marveled. Lai Yong picked up each of the 5 eggs, examining them. When he touched the 3rd egg, he suddenly felt the mirror shard in his chest vibrate. "Huh?" Lai Yong looked surprised. He tried the other eggs as well, but confirmed that only this 3rd egg caused the mirror shard to vibrate. "It's you, then." Lai Yong decided to take this egg. Given that the mirror shard had provided scriptures like the orifice opening scripture and the fire goo refinement method, it certainly held some mystical properties. Since this egg caused the shard to vibrate, it promised something extraordinary. "The chieftain is honored." The 2 aged bronze insect masters bowed slightly, watching as Lai Yong departed. Xianxia the novel, ir.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A month later, in a secluded cave outside the fire ant tribe, Lai Yong watched his 3 fire ants with exhilaration. "Third fire, let's see what you can do," he addressed the smallest of them, his newly named 3rd fire ant affectionately called Third Fire. This purple-red fire ant immediately leapt forward, spewing flames from its mouth. The large chunk of iron ore in front of it began to melt in the blink of an eye, quickly turning into a pool of molten iron. Third Fire's fiery breath paused momentarily and then resumed, this time emitting sulfuric smoke. Lai Yong accidentally inhaled some and felt a burning sensation in his lungs, hastily retreating. "Big Fire, Third Fire, you two fight each other," Lai Yong commanded next. Big Fire, the golden red fire ant significantly larger than Third Fire, immediately attacked. Despite its size advantage, it did not overpower Third Fire. After a few exchanges, due to a momentary lapse in concentration, Big Fire had a leg bitten off by Third Fire and fell to the ground wailing in pain. Lai Yong's face lit up with sheer delight. Too strong. The fire ant tribe had never seen such a fire ant hatched less than a month ago and still only a superior bronze Yao insect. Third Fire's strength already rivaled Big Fire's, a middle-tier silver Yao insect. The temperature of the flames it spewed was also much higher than that of other fire ants, sufficient even for smelting iron, and it could even emit sulfuric smoke. Big Fire is middle-tier silver, Little Fire is lower-tier silver, and Third Fire is superior bronze. Not bad at all, Lai Yong appraised with satisfaction. As soon as any of these 3 Yao insects reach the gold level, I will become a golden insect master. The prospect excited him. Becoming a golden insect master would extend his life by another 20 years. At that point, overpowering the rock ant tribe would be a trivial task, and he would also be able to obtain the second half of the fire goo refinement method from the mirror shard. Just then, a woman's voice reached him from outside. Chieftain, the 5th elder has taken another ant egg from the sulfur pool and left. Lai Yong frowned, summoned his 3 fire ants back into his insect orifice with a gesture, and then stepped out of the cave. Outside the cave stood a strikingly attractive woman. Her visage was enchanting, adorned in a blue leather jacket and skirt that impeccably outlined her slender, willowy figure. The woman, named Lai Jing, was the granddaughter of the former tribal chief Lai Xiao, her mother being Lai Xiao's eldest daughter, Lai Jia. After he succeeded as chief, in order to stabilize the tribe, he took Lai Jing as his wife. Lai Jing was both intelligent and beautiful, worshipping him deeply and devoted without question. However, truth be told, Lai Yong did not favor such women. He was a traditional man, preferring the blessings of many children. Therefore, he favored women suited for childbirth, indifferent to their appearances. After all, in the dark, all looked the same. Lai Hei's recent behavior had been quite suspicious, and so he had entrusted Lai Jing with the task of surveilling Lai Hei. Where are Chen He and the others? Lai Yong inquired further. They are all ready, awaiting only the chief's command, Lai Jing responded respectfully. Good, tell them to depart immediately and rendezvous with me, Lai Yong commanded sternly. Yes. Moments later. In a hidden cave on the eastern side of the fire ant tribe. The ground here was carpeted with soft insect skins. Lai Hei excitedly held a child in each arm, both around 4 or 5 years old. Beside him stood a woman, still charming in her own right. Wonderful. Truly wonderful. These children have inherited my talents, taming the gray earthworms at such a young age. Their futures are boundlessly promising. These fire ant eggs I brought you, take good care of them, they are for the children to use in the future. The woman, covering her mouth, laughed softly, rest assured. I think it's all thanks to your vigorous vitality that the children are so gifted. Lai Hei, proudly thumping his robust chest, chuckled, ha, 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 I am naturally so. Each morning, as strong as a pillar. The woman giggled in disbelief, I don't believe you. With a swift move, he mounted her, then let me show you what I'm capable of. She burst into playful laughter, attempting to push him away. Yet, it seemed more like a coy invitation. Inside the small cave, 2 bodies ignited like dry tinder, suddenly bursting into flames. It sounds like footsteps. After a while, drenched in fragrant sweat, the woman suddenly heard something. Lai Hei, still vigorously at work, dismissed it, this place is very secluded, it's impossible for anyone to be here. The more she listened, the more uneasy she felt, quickly rising to peer outside. To her shock, several robust figures were approaching. She let out a sharp scream, hastily wrapping herself in the insect skin. Dad, you really gave me a hard time finding you. Lai Yong's voice, sharp with clenched teeth, suddenly filled the air. Hearing this familiar voice, Lai Hei's courage shrank suddenly. He turned around abruptly to see his son, the tribal chief. This content has been unlawfully taken from Royal Road, report any instances of this story if found elsewhere. Yonger, what are you doing here? Lai Hei managed an awkward smile. Lai Yong coldly stated, had I not come, you would have squandered the tribe, old man. This woman, named Xianxia, is the daughter of the 4th elder of the rock ant tribe. Lai Yong's gaze swept past Lai Hei and Xianxia, landing on the 2 children curled up in the corner of the cave. His frame even seemed to tremble at this moment. The centuries-old feud between the fire ant tribe and the rock ant tribe lay before him. His own father had united with a woman from the rock ant tribe. And had children. No wonder he wanted to take the ant eggs from the sulfur pool. It was all to nurture these bastards. At this moment, Lai Yong was beside himself with rage. He had only heard of prodigal sons, never imagining his own father would turn out to be a prodigal father. Lai Hei's face turned ashen. He fell to his knees with a thud, grasping Lai Yong's thighs. "Younger, listen to me. Let me explain. It was just a moment of folly." Lai Yong took a deep breath, kicking Lai Hei away in disgust. With a grand gesture, he commanded, "Seize Lai Hei. And Xianxia of the Rock Ant tribe, along with these two bastards, arrest them all." "Yes." His 3 trusted insect masters surged forward. Xianxia summoned her Yao insect, attempting to resist. But in the blink of an eye, her Yao insect was slain. Lai Hei was terrified. My son, what are you doing? You're not going to kill me, are you?" Lai Yong inhaled deeply. After a long moment, he spoke coldly. "You went out searching for Yao insects and accidentally found 2 abandoned orphans. You wanted to bring the orphans back to the tribe, but you were attacked by Xianxia and other insect masters of the Rock Ant tribe. You fought bravely, killed Xianxia, but were mortally wounded in the process, and we arrived to find you already dead. You are the hero of the tribe, but only in death can you become one. Father, it's time to go." Lai Hei, wide-eyed and speechless, my son, you." Thwack. A sharp dagger slashed through Lai Hei's neck. Warm blood spurted out, splashing Lai Yong. He stepped forward, respectfully saying, "Chief, these 2 children." Lai Yong watched them for a long while, finally suppressing his killing intent. "Take them back, from now on, they shall be my adopted sons." "Yes," he nodded respectfully. Chu Xian witnessed everything. He nodded in approval. Such resolute, righteous severance of kinship was rare indeed. This Lai Yong was indeed made of the stuff of greatness. The news of Lai Hei's death spread throughout the tribe, and the people of the Fire Ant tribe were stirred to fury. Everyone was ready to strike, roaring with anger, eager to invade the Rock Ant tribe and avenge their chieftain's father. Everyone looked to Lai Yong, awaiting the words from him. Amidst the expectant gazes of his furious tribespeople, Lai Yong spoke thunderously, "To war! The Fire Ant tribe and the Rock Ant tribe, to war!" Roar after roar. The roaring echoed unceasingly across the vault of the cave. War! 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 Lai Yong looked at the people whose rage he had incited and nodded in satisfaction. The former chieftain, Lai Xiao, had endured the Rock Ant tribe's suppression for over 40 years, swallowing his pride and quietly strengthening his tribe. Internally, he had improved the treatment of the young with the insect orifice, meticulously protecting them from assassinations by the Rock Ant tribe. He had spent the tribe's accumulated reserves to expand the sulfur pool and enhance the ant eggs. Externally, he gathered all intelligence on the Rock Ant tribe. He did his utmost to sow discord between the Rock Ant tribe and the other smaller tribes. This strategy exhausted the Rock Ant tribe, preventing them from focusing all their efforts against the Fire Ant tribe. Although it was his hand that had slain Lai Xiao, his respect for Lai Xiao remained undiminished in his heart. Now, he would carry forward Lai Xiao's legacy and flatten the Rock Ant tribe. CTHNelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The war between the Fire Ant tribe and the Rock Ant tribe concluded much quicker than Chu Xian had anticipated. The Rock Ant tribe, though abundant in silver insect masters, was beset on all sides by enemies. The surrounding smaller tribes had long disdained the Rock Ant tribe's tyrannical behavior. However, no one had taken the initiative to call them out. Now that the Fire Ant tribe had stood up, they quickly found widespread support. 3 out of the 4 surrounding smaller tribes backed the Fire Ant tribe. The remaining one had been a vassal of the Rock Ant tribe. Seeing the Rock Ant tribe in retreat, they switched sides and provided Lai Yong with a secret passage into the heart of the Rock Ant tribe. Thus, within just a month, the Fire Ant tribe steamrolled over the Rock Ant tribe. The aggressive are doomed to destruction, while those who forget war are in peril. Clearly, the Rock Ant tribe belonged to the former category. Of course, to Chu Xian, these intertribal conflicts seemed no different from village brawls. What really interested him was the method of cultivation. At night, Lai Yong clutched a crystal stone, placing it atop a shard of mirror. This crystal, obtained from shattering a statue of the rock ant, contained the cultivation method of the rock ant. No reaction? Lai Yong looked puzzled. Xianxia, the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After a while, the latter half of the fire goo refinement method appeared on the surface of the mirror. Lai Yong couldn't help but be overjoyed. Success! With this secret technique, he could advance to the gold level sooner and extend his life by over 20 years. Chu Xian clicked his tongue in slight disappointment. This rock ant cultivation method, compared to the fire ants, was somewhat intricate, but not by much. Indeed, the Yao insect cultivation methods of these small tribes were inferior. Chu Xian once again focused his spiritual sense, and a line of text appeared on the surface of the mirror shard. Upon seeing this text, Lai Yong's eyes widened. Great Swallow Ant Method, Blade Ant Method. Devouring Thunder Ant Method? The mirror's appetite is too large, he exclaimed. The first 4 methods were exactly the Yao insect cultivation methods of the nearby small tribes. Although these methods were inferior, Chu Xian was still curious to see if they could provide him an insight. As for the next target, naturally, it was to acquire the Devouring Thunder Ant method. Is this a method to extend life? Lai Yong gasped as another line of text appeared. The mirror can grant me a method to extend my life, but it requires various Yao insect cultivation methods. Suddenly, Lai Yong threw the mirror shard away. At this moment, he felt as though it was a demanding demon mirror. Initially, it required the rock ant cultivation method, and he had flattened the rock ant tribe to obtain it. Now it needed more, even the Devouring Thunder Ant method. Was he supposed to flatten a medium-sized tribe next? But the mirror could grant him a method to extend his life. What about later? Would it want the sacred ant method from the holy ant tribe? Lai Yong paced anxiously back and forth in the room. His large feet stomped on the floor, making a heavy sound. This startled his 3 ants awake, waving their antennae, unsure of what was troubling their master. Chu Xian chuckled lightly. Lai Yong had sensed something was amiss. He wasn't in a hurry, just waiting for Lai Yong to make a decision. Lai Yong paced for a long time. Finally, he returned to the mirror, murmuring to himself, "This demon mirror is too sinister. But I must grow stronger. I must live longer. I must become the strongest. What harm is there in a demon mirror, when it's but an inanimate object? As long as I control it, how can it influence my thoughts? You might be reading a stolen copy. Visit Royal Road for the authentic version." Lai Yong took a deep breath and returned the mirror shard to his pouch, keeping it close. Chu Xian nodded in approval. Not bad, not bad. It seems there's no need to change hosts for a while. Keep it up, young man. Looking forward to the day you defeat the Devouring Thunder Ant tribe and present the Devouring Thunder Ant method. Blue Star. Atop a small island in the eastern sea, there lay an unnamed islet which Chu Xian had christened Black Tree Island. Here grew the Taotai tree. However, due to Chu Xian's constant control over its development, the Taotai tree remained a mere sapling, never growing larger. Chu Xian once again traded a jar of blood honey for a decade of lifespan, a satisfied sigh escaping his lips. Truly feeble, it wilted after just 1 use. Casually flinging aside the limp air root, he shook his head in disappointment. This Taotai tree could not frequently increase his lifespan. Such opportunities came but rarely. However, gaining 10 years of lifespan in a single instance was still quite favorable. Chu Xian settled down right there to meditate and practice the 5 ghosts life-seizing method. This magic technique, driven by lifespan, had seldom been practiced by him due to a lack of leisure. Now, while waiting for Lai Yong, was the perfect opportunity to cultivate this method. This technique could produce 5 life ghosts. The uses of life ghosts were manifold. The simplest application was to integrate them into spells, enhancing the spell's power. Additionally, they could reside within magic treasures, acting as temporary spirit entities. It is well known that magic treasures cannot naturally develop spirit entities. Only spiritual tools used by deity transformation or astral projection cultivators stand a slim chance of developing such spirits. As for spirit treasures higher than spiritual tools, they only require careful nurturing to most likely develop spirits. Although life ghosts cannot unleash all the powers of a magic treasure like true spirit entities, their advantage lies in allowing the master to operate the magic treasure without expending too much spiritual sense. This allows more spiritual sense to be used for controlling other magic treasures. Chu Xian's soul, refined by the soul-cleaning golden rain, had long surpassed that of his peers in the same realm. The origin of his spiritual sense stemmed from his soul. Thus, his spiritual sense was equally formidable. However, the entity's 2 arms, 4 arms, and who habitually occupied a significant portion of Chu Xian's mental focus. Yet even under such conditions, he was still capable of simultaneously manipulating 5 magical treasures. This was in addition to the evil soul chain, which did not count, as it was controlled by Huikong. Should the life ghost also be enlisted, the number of magical treasures he could command at once would further increase. In battles of sorcery, while others engaged in duels of spells, he waged wars with treasures. Crafting the first life ghost was not challenging. It merely required capturing a living soul and using a decade of lifespan as the medium to create one. However, crafting a second life ghost required 20 years of lifespan. Naturally, the abilities of the second ghost surpassed those of the first. According to the 5 ghosts life-seizing method, each subsequent ghost was significantly stronger than its predecessor, though at a greater cost of lifespan. Soon, a shriveled little ghost, black and loathsome, appeared beside Chu Xian. This figure, distasteful to behold, was the life ghost. Such spirits did not exist naturally. Instead, they were forged through secret demonic rites, born to serve the demon cultivators. Go, control the icy sun crossbow. Chu Xian commanded as he cast the icy sun crossbow to the ghost. The life ghost swiveled its eyes and immediately merged with it. Soon after, Chu Xian felt relieved from expending much spiritual sense on the crossbow. With just a thought, the life ghost would launch attacks at the target. Deciding to make good use of his resources, Chu Xian expended 20 years of lifespan to craft a second life ghost. Thus, both icy sun crossbows were ghost-operated, freeing him to control other magical treasures. For now, let's craft 2 life ghosts. From the 3rd one onward, a ghost king's essence is required for crafting. Would the 4th then necessitate a great ghost king, a tier above? This technique must indeed be the precursor to some far more formidable arts. Chu Xian pondered, stowing away the 5 ghosts life-seizing method thoughtfully. Enemies slain by a life ghost have their lifespan seized by it, subsequently nourishing me. That's indeed advantageous. Truly, this is making full use of every resource. With this thought, Chu Xian smiled slightly. As a demonic cultivator, how could one not manage resources frugally? Chapter 293, this time, let them come to us plus, turn off reset. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed in the cavernous world. Lai Yong had naturally progressed into the ranks of a gold insect master. Yet, he did not make a show of his advancement. Instead, he quietly annexed the smaller tribes surrounding the fire ant tribe. Continuously, he amassed power. He had once contemplated whether he could acquire the cultivation method of the devouring thunder ants by joining their tribe. But this thought was quickly dismissed. For he cultivated the fire ant method. Unless he killed his 3 fire ants and started anew with devouring thunder ants, acquiring their cultivation method was impossible. He also considered capturing an insect master from the devouring thunder ant tribe and forcing the method out of him. However, as each cultivator's progress in the devouring thunder ant method varied, securing a complete method required capturing a gold insect master at the very least. The devouring thunder ant tribe, being a mid-sized tribe, meant its insect masters were significantly stronger than those of equivalent rank from smaller tribes. Strong as he was, Lai Yong did not believe he could capture a gold insect master from the devouring thunder ant tribe with absolute certainty. His only path forward was to continue accumulating power, flatten the devouring thunder ant tribe, destroy their bronze statues, and obtain their cultivation method. To accelerate this process, Lai Yong imparted the orifice opening scripture to his trusted subordinates, allowing them to cultivate it as well. Thus, the high-end combat power of the fire ant tribe would increase. The emergence of more gold insect masters was only a matter of time. To Lai Yong's knowledge, the devouring thunder ant tribe had only 3 gold insect masters with peak combat abilities. As soon as more gold insect masters arose within the fire ant tribe, they could crush them. Time swiftly flowed, and another decade passed. The power of the fire ant tribe had expanded tremendously. Extremely restrained, Lai Yong faced the insect masters from the devouring thunder ant tribe who came annually to collect taxes, always swallowing his pride and concealing his strength. After 10 years, Lai Yong had ascended to the upper echelons of gold insect masters. 3 more gold insect masters had emerged in the fire ant tribe. Moreover, there were as many as 20 silver insect masters. As for the lowest-ranked bronze insect masters, their numbers had surpassed 500. With such a scale of insect masters, they were more than capable of steamrolling over the devouring thunder ant tribe. The fire ant tribe. Lai Yong tightened his insect skin coat around him. Flanked by 2 trusted aides. Now 78 years old. Though ascending to gold insect master had added a decade or 2 to his lifespan, who would complain about living longer? Naturally, the more, the better. He aimed to achieve the greatest feats within his lifetime. It's the end of the year again, isn't it? Lai Yong remarked casually. This tale has been unlawfully lifted without the author's consent. Report any appearances on Amazon. Yes, within a few days we need to deliver the tribute to the devouring thunder ant tribe, Chen He, his left-hand confidant, whispered back. Let's not deliver it this time, let them come and collect it themselves, Lai Yong said calmly. Chen He paused, then quickly grasped Lai Yong's intent, nodding, yes. It was a tradition in the cavernous world that small tribes paid tribute to mid-sized tribes. No small tribe had ever dared to defy this. After annihilating tribes such as the rock ant tribe, the fire ant tribe had even pretended these tribes were still around, paying their tributes as well. Had it not been for this burdensome tribute, the fire ant tribe might have amassed enough strength 5 years earlier. Search the Fire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Is your son prepared? Lai Yong asked evenly. He is ready. It is his honor to contribute to the tribe, Chen He replied gravely. Lai Yong nodded slightly. As expected, this time, having not paid the tribute. 8 days later, an insect master from the devouring thunder ant tribe arrived personally. This silver insect master, accompanied by 3 bronze insect masters, strode haughtily into the fire ant tribe. Standing at the gate, he bellowed, I am Lei Jia from the devouring thunder ant tribe. Where is the chieftain of your fire ant tribe? Let him come forth. Why hasn't this year's tribute been delivered? And what about the rock ant tribe, the great swallow ant tribe? Why haven't they delivered their tributes either? With a creak, the grand gates of the fire ant tribe swung open with a thunderous sound. Lai Yong, flanked by his confidants, strode out briskly. Lei Jia, observing Lai Yong's imposing march, suddenly felt a chill. It was strange. He only felt such a presence when facing tribal leaders and the like. Yet here was the chieftain of a small tribe, emanating such an astonishing aura. Lei Jia scoffed coldly, you are the chieftain of the fire ant tribe? I ask you, where is this year's tribute? Lai Yong sighed, this year the harvest was poor, we truly couldn't gather enough for the tribute. The fire ant tribe was known for its production of sulfur and blood pearl rice. Thus, their annual tribute was measured in these commodities. Lei Jia frowned deeply, unacceptable. It doesn't matter if you have nothing to eat, the tribute must be delivered in full. Lai Yong's face was etched with worry, we really don't have any. Lei Jia's expression turned icy, none? He growled lowly. Instantly, 2 devouring thunder ants appeared menacingly by his side. Seeing this, the insect masters behind him also summoned their respective devouring thunder ants. The insect masters beside Lai Yong tensed and subconsciously called forth their fire ants. The situation became tense in an instant. However, Lei Jia and his companions devouring thunder ants, evidently well-fed, boasted gleaming carapaces and sharp mandibles. In contrast, the fire ants appeared somewhat inferior. This was the inherent disparity between a mid-sized tribe and a small tribe. Lei Jia sneered, "Oh? Should I take it that you wish to defy the tribute? Resist the orders of the devouring thunder ant tribe?" Lai Yong's expression was one of grief and indignation. "Why would you say that? I have always held the devouring thunder ant tribe in the highest regard." Pointing at the insect masters behind him, Lei Jia demanded, "Then make them withdraw their insects immediately. Daring to reveal your insects in my presence is seeking death." Lai Yong took a deep breath and sighed deeply. "Withdraw them. All of you, withdraw." "But Chief." A young insect master clenched his fists. Lai Yong roared, "No buts, withdraw. Chenong, you too." Reluctantly, the insect masters of the fire ant tribe withdrew their insects, each of them seething with anger. Lei Jia let out a mocking laugh. "That's more like it. Remember, the orders of the devouring thunder ant tribe are supreme decrees. Even the words of the holy ant tribe have no sway on our turf." Pointing at Chenong who had just spoken, Lei Jia sneered, "You just spoke disrespectfully to me, kneel down." Chen Eng's face flushed with rage. "You wish?" Lai Yong bellowed, "Kneel." Chenong stiffened his neck, stubbornly refusing to kneel. Lei Jia sneered, "Fine, you won't kneel, huh?" He swiftly pulled out the whip from his waist and lashed out fiercely. Crack! A shocking streak of blood immediately appeared on Chen Eng's face. Chenong was sent flying by the force of the blow. Someone moved to help him up. Lei Jia scoffed coldly, "I'd like to see who dares help him. Anyone who does shares his guilt." The people of the fire ant tribe, suppressing their rage, dared not reach out. Lei Jia raised his whip again, striking fiercely. Crack! Crack! One lash after another. Bloodstains appeared continuously on Chen Eng's body. Only when Lei Jia had his fill did he finally retract his whip, stating indifferently, "I'll give you another month. No matter what, the tribute must be complete." Before he could finish, an elderly woman suddenly cried out, "Child! Say something. What's wrong with you?" She held Chenong, weeping bitterly. Yet, the young man showed no response. He appeared to be dead. Chapter 294, Live for Ourselves. Overthrow the devouring thunder ant tribe. Plus, turn off reset. Lei Jia was taken aback. Lai Yong's face suddenly changed color, and he immediately knelt to check on Chenong. He placed his fingers under Chen Eng's nose, but he found no breath. "He's dead. He's dead. It's all Lei Jia's fault, he beat Chenong to death. Kill him. Kill him." Suddenly, someone shouted loudly. In an instant, voices erupted like rolling thunder. The people of the fire ant tribe glared at Lei Jia, the man who had killed Chenong before their very eyes. Lai Yong clenched his fists, as if suppressing a towering rage. "Lei Jia. Even if we couldn't pay the tribute on time, was there any need to kill a child? He was only 16 this year, having just celebrated his insect orifice ceremony. How could you, an insect master of the devouring thunder ant tribe, commit such an act?" Lei Jia's face turned pale, and he instinctively stepped back. He looked down at his hands. Impossible. He had always known his own strength. The whipping was meant only to vent his dissatisfaction and to serve as a warning to others. He had not intended to actually kill the young man named Chenong. Lei Jia vaguely felt that something was amiss, yet he couldn't pinpoint what it was. Lei Jia was uneasy. There must be some misunderstanding here. I was very measured with my strike, he couldn't possibly be dead. Lai Yong tightened his fists. Are you suggesting that my fire ant tribe would use the death of a promising young child to slander and frame you? Search the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lei Jia was at a loss for words. That seemed unlikely as well. Kill him. Kill him. A stone suddenly flew, striking Lei Jia on the head. Kill this mongrel. Avenge Chenong. The Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe has always oppressed us. Overthrow the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe. We must live for ourselves. The crowd erupted with even louder voices. Lei Jia's complexion turned even paler. He retreated continuously. There must be some misunderstanding. Let's talk this over. Your tribute can be delayed. I'll personally speak to the tribal leader. Lai Yong roared, no amount of delayed tribute can bring Chenong back. You deserve to die. As soon as the words left his mouth, 2 fire ants leapt forward. Lei Jia hadn't even reacted before their sharp mandibles slashed across his neck. With a snap, his head was severed from his body. The remaining few bronze insect masters from the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe had no chance to resist and were killed by the enraged people of the Fire Ant Tribe. Lai Yong ascended to a higher ground, his voice booming, fellow tribespeople. The Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe is tyrannical. Extortionate. They disregard human life. They are corrupt to the core. We must not remain vassals of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe, we must live for ourselves. If you spot this narrative on Amazon, know that it has been stolen. Report the violation. His words echoed the sentiments of all the Fire Ant Tribe people. Live for ourselves. Overthrow the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe. Their voices merged together, roaring like continuous thunder. Chu Xian, as an observer, witnessed the entirety of the Fire Ant Tribe's war to annihilate the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe. From the outset, Lai Yong's strategy was one of blitzkrieg, a decapitation strike, to be precise. He lured the formidable insect masters of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe to the fire ants and killed them. The Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe, being a mid-sized tribe, had a very strong foundation. A prolonged war would undoubtedly be disadvantageous for the Fire Ant Tribe. Thus, the quicker the fight, the better. Ideally, before the majority of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe could react, all their gold insect masters would be killed in a swift, thunderous assault. Indeed, he succeeded. Long years of peace had left the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe complacent and decayed. Using the tribute as bait, Lai Yong gradually enticed the gold insect masters of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe, who stormed in aggressively. These pampered masters, seldom engaging in combat even with their insects, were no match for Lai Yong. With the death of the gold insect masters, the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe was headless. Their core tribespeople were quickly slaughtered by the Fire Ant Tribe. Ultimately, the Fire Ant Tribe smoothly took over the Devouring Thunder Ant Cave. That evening, Lai Yong led his confidants into the grand hall of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe. The opulence and luxury there shook him to his core. On the tables of the hall lay exquisite dishes that hadn't been finished. Our tribe's tribute of blood pearl rice was carelessly wasted by them. Damn it, these bastards of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe. Our people can't even fill their bellies, and they waste food so frivolously. We should have overthrown them long ago. I'm going out to kill a few more of their tribespeople now. Several silver insect masters of the Fire Ant Tribe were filled with righteous indignation upon seeing the state of the hall. Lai Yong also reflected deeply before sternly saying, if we are to rule over the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe, we must not kill indiscriminately. Send the order, insect masters of the Fire Ant Tribe must not kill, must not enter homes without permission, and must not seize property. Those who disobey will be executed. As for the tribespeople of the Devouring Thunder Ant Tribe, even those who have committed murder should be detained for now, to avoid escalating conflicts. Although his confidants were somewhat puzzled, they nodded respectfully. Chen He, come here, Lai Yong beckoned. The now silver-haired Chen He approached. Lai Yong spoke gravely, Chenong sacrificed his life for the tribe, and he deserves to be honored. Your fifth son, Chen Pei, has great potential. I will take him as my student. Chen He was moved, yes. Thank you, Chief. Lai Yong was the strongest of the Fire Ant Tribe, a gold insect master. With Lai Yong personally teaching him, his fifth son, Chen Pei, would surely stand out among his peers. There was a real possibility he could become a pillar of the tribe in the future. Go and remember my words, Lai Yong said with a smile. Yes. Inside the chieftain's bedroom, Lai Yong had indulged in a comforting hot bath before wrapping his lower body in a soft insect skin skirt and moving to his desk. On the desk lay a purple-blue crystal stone. This was the Devouring Thunder Ant Cultivation method. Lai Yong had already ordered the destruction of the Devouring Thunder Ant bronze statues to retrieve it. Magic mirror, I present to you the Devouring Thunder Ant Cultivation method. Lai Yong solemnly placed the crystal stone on the surface of the broken mirror. Moments later, the cultivation method transformed into words that flowed into Chu Xian's mind. Chu Xian nodded in satisfaction. He then displayed the formula for a longevity pill, modifying each ingredient to be something unique to the cavern world. Over decades of interaction, he had discovered that the cavern world was rich in resources, many plants there could substitute for the spiritual plants of the cultivation realms. Even if 1 or 2 plants were not potent enough to achieve the desired medicinal effect, then 10, 20, or even 100 would suffice. Lai Yong, seeing the method to extend life, immediately showed a look of joy on his face. Although some ingredients were extremely rare, things he had only heard of a few times, such a method for extending life was indeed a priceless treasure. Perhaps even the kings of powerful nations could not obtain such a method for longevity. With this method, I can continue to extend my life. I must strive to reach the level of a platinum insect master. A fierce light sparked in Lai Yong's eyes. Chapter 295, Todayhapter 27s long need not be yesterdayhapter 27s long plus, turn off reset. This Devouring Thunder Ant Cultivation method is quite remarkable, Chu Xian mused as he delved deeply into the technique, his mind achieving a moment of epiphany, sparking a sense of lateral thinking. The method employed by the Devouring Thunder Ant was akin to usurping the nest. Specifically, it took advantage of the small size of the Devouring Thunder Ant eggs to parasitize other ant eggs. When these parasitized eggs hatched, they initially appeared as their original species, such as the fire ant or blade ant. Step by step, the Devouring Thunder Ant would consume the nutrients of these host insects. When the time was ripe, the Devouring Thunder Ant would emerge, breaking out from within these hosts. The difficulty of the heaven-defying goo corpse technique lay in the discordance between the goo insects and the corpse puppets. Thinking along these lines, could one perhaps select a goo insect with similar habits to parasitize a living human body? Could this step-by-step transform the host into a goo corpse? Such goo insects were not rare. Perhaps one could go even further, using a corpse disguised as a living person to deceive the goo insects. This would ultimately allow the goo insect and the corpse puppet to merge perfectly, creating a true goo corpse. Chu Xian couldn't help but praise his own ingenuity. That's exactly what he would do. Immediately, Chu Xian returned to Mystic Azure Star. He tasked Wan Hun to find suitable goo insects for him. Wan Hun was highly efficient. Before long, he had procured 3 types of goo insects: blue tuft silk, marrow-sucking worm, and bone-swapping worm. Chu Xian examined these 3 goo insects and, with a grand gesture, began the experimentation. After all, practice is the sole criterion for truth. His experiments required many volunteers. However, Chu Xian only needed to snap his fingers, and immediately, numerous zombie volunteers came forth to contribute to his goo insect project. Chu Xian did not let these volunteers' selfless contributions go to waste. In just 1 month, he successfully concluded his experiments. It was feasible. The most suitable goo insect was the blue tuft silk. This goo insect was quite unique. If one must make a comparison, Chu Xian felt it somewhat straddled the line between insect and plant. It was extremely surreptitious. Once it entered a body, it could lie dormant for decades without ever harming its host. However, during its dormancy, the blue tuft silk continuously released a toxin. This toxin would gradually alter the host's body, hardening it. Eventually, the host would turn into a lifelike blue wooden sculpture. At that moment, the blue tuft silk truly revealed its fangs, beginning to devour the host's organs and flesh. Once it had consumed its fill, the blue tuft silk would drill a small hole through the host's skull and sprout bright blue flowers. Ensure your favorite authors get the support they deserve. Read this novel on the original website. Eventually, these flowers would release numerous spores. These spore worms would drift with the wind, seeking other unfortunate hosts to continue the propagation of the blue tuft silk. As for deceiving the blue tuft silk into thinking the corpse was a living person, Chu Xian already had a plan in mind. What differentiates a corpse from a living person? A corpse lacks vitality, a living person possesses it. Therefore, the solution was to infuse the corpse with life. This was precisely the kind of task for which the psionic cube was perfect. Without hesitation, Chu Xian inserted a psionic cube into Jin Zhao's body. He then implanted the blue tuft silk's eggs into Jin Zhao's chest. After that, all he needed to do was wait. It wouldn't take long for the goo corpse to emerge. The creation of the goo corpse happened faster than Chu Xian had anticipated. Within a month, Jin Zhao's body had completely hardened, transforming into a blue wooden sculpture. The blue tuft silk eggs, receiving the signal, immediately hatched and began consuming Jin Zhao's insides, ultimately taking over the shell. When the blue tuft silk tried to instinctively drill through the cranial plate, it was suddenly met with resistance far exceeding its expectations. The cranial plate was much harder than anticipated. Confused, the blue tuft silk wondered how it was supposed to bloom and spread seeds. It attempted several times to drill through the eyes, nose, and mouth but failed each time. Chu Xian, observing from the side, couldn't help but laugh. He had soaked Jin Zhao's entire body in a corpse-refining solution, making it extraordinarily hard, capable of withstanding a full-strength hit from a top-grade magical treasure. The newly born blue tuft silk, being only a second-tier goo, understandably found it difficult to break through. Left with no other options, the blue tuft silk had to bloom and seed within Jin Zhao's body. More and more blue tuft silks eventually occupied Jin Zhao's entire shell. At this moment, Chu Xian slowly stood up. He had already taken control of the initial egg with his own blood essence. Now was the time. Rise. With a low shout from Chu Xian, the blue tuft silks inside Jin Zhao received the signal and instinctively began to act. The body of Jin Zhao, which had been lying on the ground for a long time, suddenly trembled. With a whoosh, Jin Zhao swiftly leapt up. However, while his legs received the command to stand, his torso, arms, and head remained on the ground. The subsequent movements were also exceedingly strange, resembling the bizarre motions of some peculiar creature. Chu Xian was not particularly concerned about the initial quirks of his creation. After all, it was a new path he had forged himself. Some initial issues were normal and could be fine-tuned over time. 10 days later, Chu Xian observed the goo corpse, which moved with the ferocity of a storm, and a satisfied smile spread across his face. The goo corpse, freshly created, already possessed the level of a first-tier corpse king. Its talents were extraordinary, marking it as a top-tier corpse puppet. In addition to the 4 spells it inherently knew, it also carried 2 spells from the blue tuft silk. Go, play with it a bit, Chu Xian commanded, gesturing with a wave of his hand. Hu charged forward in a burst, engaging the goo corpse in combat. See the novelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Boom. 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 Tremendous forces clashed. Remarkably, the goo corpse wasn't sent flying with a single punch, it merely staggered back several steps. Hu roared, again. Bang. 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 The 2 corpses exchanged blows continuously, with fierce gusts of wind from their fists swirling around them. Both sustained damage, with chunks of flesh flying off. Chu Xian's eyes lit up. Such powerful strength. Bao was also crouched on the side, watching the intense fight. Seeing its elder and a junior go at it so fiercely excited it too. It hurriedly took the opportunity to snatch up the scattered pieces of flesh and stuffed them into its mouth. Chu Xian's mouth twitched at the sight. Can't you be a bit more dignified? Must you eat everything? After a while, at Chu Xian's command, the 2 corpses gradually disengaged. The goo corpse, newly refined and already capable of contending with Hu, a 4th-tier corpse king, showed immense potential. Very good. Very good indeed. Chu Xian nodded in complete satisfaction. Master. Who knelt before Chu Xian? The goo corpse stood somewhat dumbly by. Blue tuft silks emerged from its skin, swiftly repairing the battle damages. You also need a name. What shall I call you? Chu Xian stroked his chin. It was time for the enjoyable task of naming, a task at which he excelled. Your original form was Jin Zhao, and you contain the blue tuft silk. I think I'll call you Long. Chu Xian nodded in satisfaction. Long, Hu, Bao. What a melodious ring to it. How could it be complete without a long? Today's long need not be yesterday's long. Chapter 296, Lethapter 27, SC Whathapter 27, Uphapter 2014, Fight if we can, Run if we can. Hapter 27, T+, Turn off reset. In the cavern world, the fire ant tribe had effectively implemented Lai Yong's will, firmly controlling the people of the devouring thunder ant tribe and striving to assimilate them. The disappearance of a few small tribes wouldn't cause any ripples, but the vanishing of a mid-sized tribe like the devouring thunder ant tribe was enough to stir a moderate storm in the vicinity. There was no doubt that the fire ant tribe had obliterated the devouring thunder ant tribe, and it was inevitable that the holy ant tribe would come to inquire. Why had the fire ants committed this act of usurpation? After all, for the fire ant tribe to replace the devouring thunder ant tribe and become a new mid-sized tribe, they needed the approval of the holy ant tribe. This highlighted the importance of Lai Yong's justified and renowned strategy from the beginning. Chu Xian believed in Lai Yong's wisdom to handle these matters perfectly. Blood River Star. At the gate of Heaven Blood Alliance, the sovereign power on Blood River Star, formed by the merger of several fourth-level cultivation sections. The main color theme of the gate was red. Red flowers, red trees, red flowing waters, even every pebble seemed to exude a fierce and intense aura. At this moment, the alliance leader, Luo Zhantian, strode into the council hall. Inside, a young man was leisurely walking back and forth with his hands behind his back, occasionally examining the hall's decorations. He seemed somewhat surprised. This Xianxia had been left hanging here all day, yet he remained completely composed, showing no signs of impatience or agitation. Luo Zhantian internally praised, "My old fellow truly has some commendable sons." Finally, Luo Zhantian greeted with a smile, "Fellow Daoist Shang, it's a pleasure to meet you." Xianxia turned around, also smiling, "Greetings, Alliance Leader Luo." Luo Zhantian waved his hand, "Your father and I were peers, we even fought together back in the day. Don't call me Alliance Leader Luo, it sounds too formal. Call me Uncle Luo." Xianxia instantly replied warmly, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Uncle Luo." Luo Zhantian gestured for Xianxia to sit down. "I've been neglectful due to my many duties, I apologize." He glanced at the table, then suddenly frowned, "You've been waiting in this hall for so long, why hasn't tea been served yet?" Luo Zhantian slammed his hand on the table and bellowed, "Where are the people?" A cultivator hurried over and knelt down, "Greetings, Alliance Leader." "Why is there no tea?" Luo Zhantian demanded. The cultivator trembled, unable to speak. Xianxia offered a faint smile. "Uncle Luo, no worries, I didn't come for tea." Luo Zhantian scoffed, "You should be thanking my nephew. Now get out." "Yes, yes, yes." The cultivator wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and hurriedly dashed out. Support the creativity of authors by visiting Royal Road for this novel and more. He pondered secretly, wasn't it the sect leader who instructed me not to serve tea, deliberately snubbing Xianxia? Why am I being blamed instead? How fierce the sect leader is. Luo Zhantian turned to Xianxia, his smile returning. "I heard that recently you contributed a turbid world Blue Lotus to the Reincarnation Divine Sect, and in the presence of Feathered Transformation Heaven Palace, Spirit Feathered True Master was utterly crushed. It's still quite impressive to recall." "My nephew, that was quite the feat," he said, giving a thumbs up. Xianxia just smiled, it was merely leveraging power to suppress others, a minor trick really. Luo Zhantian smiled, "It's been a while since I've heard from you, nephew. What brings you to my Blood River Star?" Instead of answering directly, Xianxia countered, I see that Blood River Star is gearing up for battle. Is the heaven-shaking divine sect about to go to war with the reincarnation divine sect? Luo Zhantian raised an eyebrow, that's a sect secret, even I am not privy. Though it was clear to any observant person that war was imminent. But exactly when it would start, he, the leader of the Heavenly Blood Alliance, was also in the dark. Xianxia continued, Mystic Azure is solid as a rock, if the sect wishes to penetrate it, they'll have to break through the realm's protective grand formation. That would take too much time, costing many cultivators lives and draining the strength of the Heavenly Blood Alliance. Luo Zhantian's expression darkened. Indeed, that was the case. Currently, only Northern Cold served as a foothold on Mystic Azure, with most of the power in the hands of the loyalist faction of Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. Achieving the upper sect's goal was going to be exceedingly difficult. Since Blood River Star was closest to Mystic Azure, the Heavenly Blood Alliance would inevitably lead the charge. The longer the war dragged on, the worse it would be for the Heavenly Blood Alliance. Luo Zhantian was indeed worried about this. Xianxia smiled, I know the predicament of the Heavenly Blood Alliance, Uncle Luo. I've come especially to bring you a significant gift. Oh? What kind of gift? Luo Zhantian inquired. Ancient teleportation array unknown to Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, Xianxia revealed. Luo Zhantian paused, taken aback. How about it, Uncle Luo? Isn't this gift substantial enough? Xianxia smiled. Luo Zhantian's gaze towards Xianxia shifted. An ancient teleportation array unknown to Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. It held immense strategic value. If used well, it could serve as a continual point of reinforcement once the war began. Capturing Mystic Azure would then be much less strenuous. Suddenly, Luo Zhantian asked, What do you want? I wish to become a true disciple of the heaven-shaking divine sect, Xianxia stated directly. Luo Zhantian scratched his head, I can't decide that, I need to consult the higher-ups. Xianxia nodded, I can wait. SEA the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Alright. Luo Zhantian nodded, casting a deep look at Xianxia before departing. Moments later, Luo Zhantian returned to the council hall and announced solemnly, the upper sect has agreed, and the third elder has consented to take you as his disciple. Xianxia smiled and nodded in appreciation. He produced a jade slip imprinted with his spiritual sense. This is the location of the ancient teleportation array. This was discovered by our Nether Dao sect long ago and never made public, hence it remains out of Feather Transformation Heaven Palace's control. Uncle Luo, make good use of it. Luo Zhantian nodded gravely, accepting the jade slip. Northern Cold. Chu Xian strode out of the cultivation chamber. The cultivator guarding the door bowed respectfully and went to prepare spiritual food for him. Soon, the long table in the hall of Black Devil Peak was laden with exquisite dishes. Chu Xian, as usual, devoured the meal. It's not as good as the spiritual food made by Zhu Jia, alas. He shook his head. The taste of this food paled in comparison to Zhu Jia's. Just then, he felt a tremor in his storage bag. He withdrew a communication jade, and Shi Juantian's voice immediately emitted from it. Fellow Daoist Lin, the reincarnation divine sect has launched a surprise attack on our sect's deity transformation elder. The two sects have begun warring. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace will surely act soon. Fellow Daoist Lin, please be cautious. Our task is to prevent the full activation of the protective grand formation, to assist our sect's deity transformation elder. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. After such a long wait, the battle had finally begun. So many will die in this conflict, he mused. A speck of dust from the era becomes a mountain for the common folk. Chu Xian pondered, let's see how things unfold. If possible, we'll fight, if not, we flee. After all, one must not put oneself in peril unnecessarily. Chapter 297, For Against One, the advantage is ours. Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 297 4 against 1, the advantage is ours. On Feather Transformation Island, Zhao Kai held a communication jade, listening respectfully. A deep, resolute voice emanated from the jade. The heaven-shaking divine sect has launched a disgraceful surprise attack on our monks. The great war between the two sects has begun. The ancestor places great importance on mystic azure realm, and you are ordered to guard it at all costs. Zhao Kai responded reverently, Holy Sun, rest assured, 4/5 of mystic azure is under our control, and those demon cultivators in northern cold can hardly make a difference. With our forces pressing forward, they will collapse without a fight. The voice from the jade belonged to Situ Kong, a saint son of the reincarnation divine sect. Along with the now-deceased Lin Hanshuang, he was one of the holy sons. Now that Lin Hanshuang was dead, Situ Kong received all the resources of the sect. Situ Kong spoke calmly, do not be complacent. The Nether Dao sect once occupied mystic azure and surely left some tricks behind. How well have you mastered the puppet beast I bestowed upon you? Zhao Kai's face lit up with joy. The puppet beast you gifted me has been completely refined and is in tune with my thoughts. This puppet beast is truly formidable. In life, it was a nascent soul level 8 demonic beast, and even as a puppet, it retains the strength of a nascent soul level 7. Such strength will certainly be our trump card. Situ Kong nodded slightly, that is good. Be cautious of the northern cold's cultivators, the heaven-shaking divine sect will surely involve them. Zhao Kai assured him solemnly, Holy Sun, have no worries. Situ Kong smiled, Mystic Azure Realm is in your hands. If you perform well and repel those demon cultivators, I will personally petition the ancestor to reward you. Zhao Kai was thrilled, yes. Thank you, Holy Sun. The voice in the communication jade then subsided. Zhao Kai immediately sent messages to the nascent soul cultivators in the southern wilderness, western land, and eastern border, directing them to converge on the northern cold. Senior brother, are we starting the Great War? Two nascent soul cultivators came quickly outside the hall, their expressions excited. Zhao Kai laughed heartily, what great war? It's merely a pushover. Northern cold is but 1/5 of the territory, while we control 4/5 of mystic azure, plus we have 10 nascent soul cultivators. How could they possibly contend with us? Once everyone arrives, we'll march straight over. Yes. The two nascent soul cultivators were invigorated by his words. For against 1, the advantage is ours. In the eastern border, a secluded dark underground space was suddenly illuminated by the white light of an ancient teleportation array. A figure carefully stepped out, holding a defensive magic treasure, cautiously emerging from the array. SAR the novelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After surveying his surroundings and finding nothing but ruins and rubble, he breathed a sigh of relief and signaled those behind him. Soon, 3 nascent soul cultivators from the Heavenly Blood Alliance appeared through the teleportation array. Our task, the leading nascent soul cultivator whispered, is to sow chaos in the eastern border, stretching Feather Transformation Heaven Palace thin, forcing them to dispatch forces. Do not engage with the main forces of Feather Transformation Heaven Palace unless victory is certain. Yes. The other 3 responded vigorously. Half a month later, 5 nascent soul cultivators gathered on the border of northern cold. Among them, 2 hailed from the southern wilderness palace of southern wilderness, while the other 3 came from the western land's heavenly heart temple. Is this venerable person the master of the palace of southern wilderness, Duan Xiao? The abbot of Heavenly Heart Temple, Jing Kong, greeted with hands clasped and a smile. Duan Xiao nodded, indeed, it is I. Jing Kong sighed lightly, I hear that Master Duan came to Mystic Azure from an extraterritorial battlefield, not originally from Mystic Azure, correct? Duan Xiao gave a wry smile. Yes, indeed. He was originally a nascent soul ancestor of the Duan family, firmly established in the righteous Dao city. Unexpectedly, he encountered the collapse of an extraterritorial battlefield. Even as a formidable nascent soul cultivator, he couldn't withstand the terrifying spatial rifts. He had no choice but to take Xiaofeng Xian and other core disciples of the Duan family and rush into the nearest teleportation array to escape the extraterritorial battlefield. By a twist of fate, they arrived in the southern wilderness of Mystic Azure. The Treasure Lotus sect of the southern wilderness had once been slaughtered by Feather Transformation Heaven Palace and had already collapsed. The entire southern wilderness cultivation world was severely weakened. It wasn't just that there were few nascent soul cultivators left, even golden core cultivators were scarce. It was akin to a situation where, in the absence of tigers in the mountains, the monkeys reigned supreme. The appearance of Duan Xiao, a powerful nascent soul cultivator, was like a crushing force from another dimension. He simply gathered the golden core cultivators, established the southern wilderness palace, and eventually unified the southern wilderness. The unification process was straightforward, merely a matter of pushing forward. No sect dared provoke a nascent soul cultivator. Ultimately, he became the master of southern wilderness, and another nascent soul cultivator he recruited became the deputy master. Why haven't the eastern border cultivators arrived? Duan Xiao scanned the group and frowned. They had come at the invitation of Zhao Kai of Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, but no cultivators from the eastern border had shown up, which was quite peculiar. The two nascent soul monks from Heavenly Heart Temple, Jinghui and Jingxian, nodded in agreement. Indeed, why haven't the eastern border cultivators arrived? All from the southern wilderness, western, and central continent have come, only the eastern border is missing. Could it be that the eastern border cultivators are afraid? They looked towards Jing Kong, who shook his head helplessly. I also do not know. We'll probably have to wait for Zhao Kai to appear to find out the answer. At that moment, two figures approached together. It was Zhao Kai and another. Zhao Kai, having overheard their conversation from afar, spoke calmly. The eastern border has fires in the backyard, likely the work of demon cultivators from the heaven-shaking divine sect. They are occupied with handling those demons and can't spare anyone. One of my junior brothers has gone to assist in the eastern border. Hearing this, the other nascent soul cultivators nodded in understanding, so that's what happened. Jing Kong expressed his concern, but now, we only have 7 nascent soul cultivators, not 10. Is this force sufficient to contend with the demon cultivators of Northern Cold? Zhao Kai laughed heartily. Venerable Jing Kong worries too much. I have thoroughly investigated the situation in Northern Cold. He began counting on his fingers. Northern Cold has only 4 nascent soul cultivators. They are Jingji of the Corpsine sect, Wan Hun of the Myriad Souls sect, and Wei Ji and Lu Ruoxue, who fled from our Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. There might be one more hidden demon cultivator from the heaven-shaking divine sect. That makes only 5 in total. While we have 7. Moreover, I am at the 6th layer of nascent soul, and my junior brother is at the 5th layer. Zhao Kai smiled confidently. With such a force, do you think we can lose? Jing Kong was momentarily speechless, finally responding, it's always good to be cautious. Zhao Kai shook his head, smiling. Venerable Jing Kong, you worry too easily, and that's why your cultivation has stagnated. Jing Kong's face soured, and he chose to remain silent. Duan Xiao then spoke in a serious tone. That demon cultivator from the heaven-shaking divine sect must be formidable. Has the upper sect provided any trump cards? Zhao Kai smiled mysteriously. Naturally, there are provisions. Rest assured. If that demon cultivator from the heaven-shaking divine sect shows up, leave him to me. With these words, everyone felt a bit more settled. With Zhao Kai so confident, what was there to fear? Chapter 298, Show themselves. Zhao Kai declared loudly, fellow Taoists, our target is to capture Golden Thunder Mountain and Flying Thunder Valley. These 2 locations are key points of the protective Grand Array. Securing these 2 points will allow the Grand Array to operate at full capacity. With this, even if the heaven-shaking divine sect deploys 2 or even 3 deity transformation cultivators, they will not be able to breach our mystic azure. He pointed towards the sky. There is already a deity transformation elder from our upper sect positioned outside the star. Upon hearing this, Jing Kong, Duan Xiao, and others felt a surge of reassurance. Having a deity transformation cultivator present calmed their nerves significantly. Venerable Jingkong, I will accompany you to Golden Thunder Mountain. Master Duan, my junior brother Qingqi will go with you to Flying Thunder Valley. Kill every demon cultivator in northern cold we encounter must be eliminated. Zhao Kai commanded robustly. Yes. The group of nascent soul cultivators responded in unison. The 7 split into 2 groups, heading straight for Golden Thunder Mountain and Flying Thunder Valley. Flying Thunder Valley. Once a scenic valley, it was now littered with corpses. Malicious and corpse energies rose from every inch of the ground. Lu Ruoshui, holding her nose, reluctantly spoke, "Fellow Taoist Xing, must it be this way?" Xing Ji responded calmly, "This blacking demon corpse array of mine works best with more corpses, the more, the better. Otherwise, how could we possibly withstand the nascent soul cultivators from Feather Transformation Heaven Palace?" Lu Ruoshui had no choice but to acquiesce. She and Jingji were in charge of defending this area, along with 5 golden core cultivators managing the array. Ever since the outbreak of the war between the Reincarnation Divine Sect and the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect, Jingji had left the Corpsing Sect to come to Flying Thunder Valley. They were well aware. Should Feather Transformation Heaven Palace attack, their primary targets would undoubtedly be the 2 Grand Array footings. They're coming. 4 people in total, led by Feather Transformation Heaven Palace's Deputy Palace Master Qingqi. While Zhao Kai and his group were still 1,000 miles from Flying Thunder Valley, Jingji suddenly opened his eyes and alerted in a deep voice. He had crafted numerous corpse puppets and scattered them around the valley for miles. Should anyone approach, he would know immediately. Lu Ruoshui and Wei Ji, having defected from Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, had already informed them of Zhao Kai and his companions' appearances and tactics. This allowed Jingji to recognize Qingqi, Zhao Kai's junior brother, right away. He slammed his hand on the array disc, and a thick malevolent energy rose from beneath Flying Thunder Valley, enveloping the entire area. This was the mid-grade nascent soul level array he had prepared in advance, the Blacking Demon Corpse Array. Within this array, all corpses were transformed into corpse demons under his command. These corpse demons would self-destruct at the moment of their death. A simultaneous explosion from thousands of corpse demons could severely injure nascent soul cultivators. However, the corpse demons could not leave the range of the array. To establish this array, Jingji had slaughtered 2 mortal cities, throwing a total of 300,000 corpses into Flying Thunder Valley. He also introduced several of his own corpse generals into the mix, serving as leaders of the corpse demons. Lu Ruoshui declared, "I will immediately notify the others." Meanwhile, at Golden Thunder Mountain, Wei Ji and Wan Hun also received immediate news of Duan Xiao and others' approaches. They activated a pre-arranged array as well. Instantly, Golden Thunder Mountain was shrouded in gloom, with specters weaving through the air, turning the mountain into a vision akin to the underworld. The fact that Northern Cold had fewer nascent soul cultivators was undeniable, necessitating reliance on powerful arrays to fend off invaders. Chu Xian, along with Wan Wuing and other Golden Core cultivators from the Wan Hun sect, were stationed at Golden Thunder Mountain, each positioned at an array foot, controlling the array. Fu Peng appeared somewhat anxious. "Brother Chao, we are outnumbered, it's truly a case of the few against the many." Chao Mo sighed deeply, "What can be done? If someone comes to kill you, do you not resist and just wait for death? Or do you want to run?" Fu Peng could only offer a wry smile. Bai Jingkuan and Wan Wuing glanced at Chu Xian and, noticing his calm demeanor, felt slightly reassured. Zhao Kai, Jing Kong, Jing Hui, and Jing Xian hovered midair, looking towards the ominously gloomy Golden Thunder Mountain. Jing Kong clasped his hands together, chanting a Buddhist mantra, "This place reeks of demonic energy, truly a den of filth and chaos, it must be cleansed." With that, he unleashed a holy Buddhist palm strike. However, the palm strike only momentarily dispelled the darkness, which was quickly replenished by more gloomy air. Jing Kong frowned. "This array is at least an upper-tier nascent soul formation." Jing Hui spoke in a serious tone, "Master Zhao, an upper-tier nascent soul formation's defenses are formidable. The demon cultivators must have prepared a substantial amount of spirit stones." We could forcefully break through, but it would consume a vast amount of time. Do you have any methods, Master Zhao? Zhao Kai smiled faintly. If Feather Transformation Heaven Palace lacks anything, it is not depth of resources. He casually slapped his hand down. More than 10 breaking restriction talismans suddenly flew out, landing in their hands. These talismans were specifically designed to break nascent soul-level formations. Heavenly Heart Temple, being a 4th-tier cultivation sect, could at most possess 1 or 2 such talismans, treated like precious treasures. But Feather Transformation Heaven Palace was different, being a 5th-tier cultivation sect. When Zhao Kai and his group had attacked the 100 Refinements sect, they had used a large number of these talismans. SAR the Novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Excellent. With these divine talismans, breaking the formation will be a breeze. Jing Xian exclaimed with great joy. Please proceed without hesitation, I will cover you. Zhao Kai declared loudly. Yes. The 3 monks shouted in unison, channeling their spiritual qi into the breaking restriction talismans and propelling them forward. The talismans struck Golden Thunder Mountain like meteors. Boom! The mountain's ominous aura was instantly halved. The array was damaged, causing considerable discomfort to Golden Core cultivators like Fu Peng and Bai Jingkuan, who were stationed at the array's base. They felt as though they were struck by a massive hammer, with their inner energies roiling uncontrollably. Damn! So many breaking restriction talismans. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace is loaded. Fu Peng couldn't help cursing. Noticing that Chu Xian showed no intention of intervening, Wei Ji and Wan Hun exchanged glances and immediately took out their magic treasures to confront the attackers, determined not to let the enemy break the formation easily. Wei Ji, slightly stronger, took on Jing Hui and Jing Xian, managing a 2-on-1 fight. Meanwhile, Wan Hun, controlling several ghost generals, encircled Jing Kong. Zhao Kai stood with his hands behind his back, opting not to join the fray but instead scanning the surroundings, as if searching for someone. Chu Xian shook his head. This Zhao Kai was indeed cautious. If Zhao had rushed into the melee, Chu Xian could have taken the opportunity to launch a sneak attack, potentially inflicting severe damage. Unfortunately, Zhao was also on his guard, likely wary of a hidden strike from Shijun Tian. The battle between Wei Ji and the others continued for a while. Wan Hun's ghost generals were slain, showing signs of defeat. In the name of Buddha, banish these demons. Jing Kong roared, forming seals with his hands and summoning 2 layers of merit wheels behind his head. A colossal hand descended rapidly, aiming for Wan Hun. Wan Hun, visibly shocked, quickly pulled out his life-saving magic treasure in defense. Nevertheless, he was blown away, coughing up blood midair, his treasure visibly cracked. Wan Hun managed a bitter smile. Despite appearing strong, he was internally drained. He had been fighting with all his might and was now at his limit. It's time to depart from this path, demon, Jing Kong declared, ready to deliver the final blow to Wan Hun. Just then, a powerful aura suddenly surged. A massive earth-colored spear thrust towards Jing Kong. Zhao Kai's eyes sparkled as he smirked, all this hiding and finally showing yourself. Chapter 299, Concealing a Ghost King for a Stealth Attack. Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 299, Concealing a Ghost King for a Stealth Attack. Zhao Kai, prepared for such an encounter, reacted swiftly, summoning a flying dagger and a set of flying swords to strike at once. His body surged with spiritual qi, releasing a blinding burst of golden light. He had been waiting for this moment, ready to confront the hidden cultivator from the heaven-shaking divine sect. Just as Shijun Tian managed to break through Jing Kong's spell, he was greeted by a barrage of flying daggers, flying swords, and the golden light. His expression soured, but he had no choice but to engage in battle with Zhao Kai. By initiating the attack, he knew he would be at a disadvantage, yet he was compelled to act. With only a few demonic cultivators in Northern Cold, losing even one would be a significant setback. The air was filled with the sounds of clashing magic treasures as the 2 nascent soul level 6 cultivators, far surpassing any others present, battled. The fallout from their fight was intense, deterring anyone from coming close. Chu Xian remained composed, seated as if he were merely a golden core cultivator observing the chaos. Although Zhao Kai and his group have the upper hand, it's not an overwhelming advantage, he thought. This person must have something up his sleeve. It's better to wait for him to reveal his trump cards before I make my move. If Shijun Tian can't force Zhao Kai's hand, it suggests the heaven-shaking divine sect isn't much of a threat. Chu Xian continued to watch the battle intently. The outcome of the fight between Shijun Tian and Zhao Kai wasn't clear yet, but Wan Hun was steadily being overpowered by Jing Kong. Wei Ji, fighting 2 against 1, was also beginning to falter. However, both managed to retreat back into the formation to consume medicinal pills and recuperate, allowing them to rejoin the fight after a brief recovery. This strategic use of the formation prevented any fatalities and demonstrated the strength and sophistication of their tactics. By relying on the formation, the disadvantaged side could continue to hold out for an opportunity. Jing Kong, Jing Hui, and Jing Xian exchanged glances, seemingly reaching a silent agreement. When Wan Hun and Wei Ji, somewhat restored, charged out of the formation again, Jing Kong and Jing Hui met them head-on. Meanwhile, Jing Xian made a beeline for the formation itself. Wei Ji, undeterred, immediately released 2 wooden puppets to block Jing Xian. The previous battle had shown that he could just manage to hold off Jing Xian using his array of wooden puppets, maintaining a precarious balance in the 2-on-1 fight. As Jing Xian hurled a wooden fish into the air, it suspended mid-flight, emanating intense golden light. The surface of the wooden fish rapidly lost its luster as the light spread, shining down on the wooden puppets. Inside them, agonizing wails could be heard, sounds of the souls being damaged. Wei Ji's expression shifted subtly. During the fight, the wooden fish had proven its worth repeatedly, clearly one of Jing Xuan's powerful magical treasures. Now, to target his wooden puppets, Jing Xian was willing to sacrifice this potent item. Such use would inevitably degrade the treasure's power severely. After this encounter, the wooden fish might no longer be usable. Xianxia the novel, ir.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Wei Ji attempted to turn back and stop Jing Xian. However, Jing Hui intervened, chanting a mantra, "Benefactor, focus on me. Do not be distracted. Cursed monk, you deserve death." Wei Ji cursed under his breath, forced to watch as Jing Xian advanced towards the formation. Breaking restriction talismans, go. Jing Xian activated the talismans, channeling his spiritual qi into them and launching a concentrated attack on a single point of the formation. The 3 talismans, focusing their power, were meant to breach the formation decisively. Breaking the formation would prevent Wei Ji and Wan Hun from using it to recover, inevitably leading to their defeat. Yet, just as the talismans were about to strike, a 4-armed ghost king burst forth, grasping 2 of the talismans in its massive hands and crushing them with a crisp snap. Only 1 talisman managed to hit its target. A breach appeared in the formation's dark energy, creating a large gap, but it was quickly replenished as the formation's energy flowed back to seal it. The Ghost King launched a sudden assault, swinging 4 ghostly weapons in rapid succession. Jing Xian, caught off guard by the unexpected appearance of the Ghost King, was pummeled backward, struggling with the turmoil inside him. A Ghost King? Jing Xian exclaimed furiously, "Well played, Wan Hun, hiding a Ghost King for a stealth attack. Such demonic tactics are truly shameful." Wan Hun, bewildered, thought, "I hit a Ghost King? News to me." He scanned Golden Thunder Mountain subtly, then chuckled coldly, "Ha, now you see what I'm capable of." The battle reverted to a stalemate, with Jing Kong, Jing Hui, and Jing Xian unable to decisively defeat Wei Ji and Wan Hun. As Wan Hun continually retreated into the formation for rapid healing after each heavy blow, Jing Kong and his comrades were left depleted and deeply frustrated. Despite their superior skills, the enemy's tactics of hitting and running were infuriating. "Is there no honor in combat anymore?" they lamented. Meanwhile, everyone occasionally glanced over at the intense duel between Shijun Tian and Zhao Kai. the outcome of that battle would undoubtedly influence the dynamics on their end. Suddenly, the sky was lit with a ghastly crimson light. A burst of blood-red energy sent Zhao Kai flying dozens of yards. The blood turned into numerous skeletal hands that clung to him tightly, rendering even his nascent soul essence shift ineffective, as if the hands were maggots gnawing at his bones. Shijun Tian sneered, "Zhao Kai, you're still too inexperienced to challenge me. Prepare to meet your end." He expelled a breath of nascent soul essence, which coalesced into a grotesque, massive axe, and swung it down furiously at Zhao Kai. Cursing under his breath, Zhao Kai urgently slapped his puppet bag, a special storage designed solely for the colossal puppet beast it housed. With a thunderous roar, a huge dark silhouette emerged. The terrifying blood axe struck it, only to leave a shallow mark before shattering into countless fragments of blood light, dissipating into nothing. The shallow cut on the puppet quickly sprouted new flesh and healed within moments as if never wounded. Shi Juantian's expression froze as he got a clear view of the massive creature. It was a fearsome dryland earth dragon, a creature with a trace of true dragon lineage. Even a newly born dryland earth dragon cub could be classified as a Foundation establishment stage demonic beast. These creatures faced almost no barriers in their cultivation. Merely eating and sleeping could advance them to the golden core stage within 300 years. Given a millennium, they could step into the nascent soul stage. Dryland earth dragons boasted scales as hard as steel, capable of withstanding strikes from superior magic treasures without sustaining any damage. They could also breathe fire hot enough to melt mid-grade magic treasures and below. Additionally, these dragons were favored as mounts by many deity transformation cultivators due to their impressive speed. However, the dryland earth dragon before them had hollow, lifeless eyes and a somewhat rigid posture, revealing that it was not a living beast but a puppet crafted from the corpse of a dryland earth dragon. Chapter 300 Look behind you. The dryland earth dragon, thick-skinned and tough, is not easy to convert into a puppet using ordinary puppeteering methods. The concoction required for its transformation is both rare and extraordinarily potent, beyond the reach of most fifth-tier cultivation sections. With such valuable resources, one might typically prefer to use them for personal cultivation enhancements. Shijun Tian could ascertain that Zhao Kai himself lacked the puppeteering skills necessary for such a feat. The puppet must have been a gift from the reincarnation divine Sect. No wonder he's so confident, he had this up his sleeve, Shijun Tian thought darkly. Zhao Kai, with a burst of spiritual qi, repelled the bloodied hands grasping at him and scoffed, "Shijun Tian, you are among the best of the nascent soul cultivators in the heaven-shaking divine Sect. I've heard your name long before today. But can you withstand this dryland earth dragon puppet?" With a grand gesture, Zhao Kai commanded the dragon puppet to open its maw and unleash a torrent of flames towards Shijun Tian. The next moment, rolling flames surged out. Sensing immediate danger, Shijun Tian didn't dare to face it head-on and swiftly used a burst of nascent soul essence to teleport away. When he reappeared, he turned just in time to see the ground he had just vacated swallowed by the relentless fire, which burned without any sign of extinguishing. Shi Juantian's heart raced as he saw the puppet dragon open its mouth again. He had no choice but to use another burst of nascent soul essence to teleport once more. However, the flames spread too wide. Barely landing, he found his robes catching the fierce fire. Despite his frantic efforts to extinguish them, the flames clung stubbornly, leaving him in a dire and disheveled state. Zhao Kai laughed heartily at the sight. The fire from the dryland earth dragon was formidable. Once it latched onto something, even nascent soul cultivators struggled to extinguish it promptly, especially given its extensive reach. Many cultivators couldn't teleport out of its range fast enough, which was precisely why Zhao Kai was so confident. He knew well that once he deployed the dryland earth dragon puppet, it could decisively end the battle. "Shijun Tian, it's time for you to depart." Zhao Kai sneered, commanding the puppet with a fierce command. The dryland earth dragon's speed was astonishing. In one breath, it remained stationary, and in the next, it was already before Shijun Tian. Its massive, fearsome claws swooped down. If the blow landed, it would surely deal a devastating blow to Shijun Tian. Shijun Tian, overwhelmed, was forced to channel most of his spiritual qi into powering the 4 golden shields around him to ward off the relentless flames. His reserves drained rapidly, leaving him scrambling for additional protective magic treasures. He activated a water-blue orb, which instantly enveloped him in layers of shimmering light just as the dryland earth dragon's massive claw came crashing down. The impact shattered the outermost water-blue shield with a crisp crack, dimming the orb and flinging it away. The golden shields, too, cracked under the strike. Shijun expression turned grave as he quickly summoned another defensive treasure, an ancient and heavy bell, which flew towards the attacking claw. With a resonant clang, the bell was smacked away, sending Shijun tumbling through the air, blood spraying from his mouth as his energy rapidly declined. Zhao Kai, sneering triumphantly, urged the dryland earth dragon puppet forward for another attack. Time to die. Desperate, Shijun glanced towards Golden Thunder Mountain and yelled for help, "Fellow Taoist, save me." Zhao Kai paused, briefly confused. Were there still nascent soul cultivators hidden on Golden Thunder Mountain? Just as he turned, a sense of danger surged. Not from behind or beside him but from below. A fist as large as a cauldron smashed upward, aimed viciously at an unsuspecting spot. Zhao Kai was shocked to his core, instinctively teleporting away. Yet, no sooner had he landed than the hulking shadow lunged again. Fist after fist rained down, each blow like a hammer strike. Bang! 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 Caught off guard, Zhao Kai took 4 heavy hits, each accompanied by the sickening sound of breaking bones. Screaming in agony, he fell toward the ground. The dark figure, incredibly fast, pursued him relentlessly. Gritting his teeth, Zhao Kai summoned the dryland earth dragon puppet to shield himself. Only then did he manage to fend off the relentless assault. Finally getting a clear look, he realized his assailant was a massive, pitch-black corpse king. Its skin was like forged steel, its muscles sharply defined, and hard bone armor grew over its vulnerable joints, a veritable humanoid magic treasure. The corpse king was swift and agile, exploiting every opening to strike ferocious blows on the dryland earth dragon, leaving dents with each punch. The dragon, though large and cumbersome, seized a chance to retaliate, lashing its tail fiercely and sending the corpse king flying dozens of yards away. I had thought him some formidable corpse king, yet he seems no more than a mere 4th level. Zhao Kai's heart steadied a moment. When this corpse king had first appeared, he feared it was of the 6th level. Now, it appeared merely troublesome. Given time, his earthen dragon puppet would surely dispatch it. This thought had scarcely arisen when another blue figure burst forth, rushing toward him. This blue figure, though less robust than the corpse king, moved with even greater swiftness. Out of the corner of his eye, Zhao Kai barely caught sight of the blur. In the next moment, it was already before him. Search * the novel, ir.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Thud. A fist smashed forward, striking directly at Zhao Kai's face. With a splatter, blood sprayed wildly as his nose was brutally broken. His brain seemed to turn to mush under the tremendous blow. He fell toward the ground, and only after a moment did he instinctively summon a shield, large as a gate, to guard himself. But no sooner had this shield materialized than a mass of blue threads burst from within the figure, bypassing the shield and wrapping around him. Zhao Kai's eyes widened. Was this not a corpse king? How then did it possess such techniques? Splurt. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Kai's body was pierced by blue threads, which instantly drew forth copious amounts of blood. The blue threads turned almost red. Zhao Kai roared as his sword formation returned to his side and snapped the threads with a few crisp sounds. However, the threads that remained inside him still retained their vitality. He could feel them burrowing deeper into his flesh, exploring new territories as if to make it their new home. Damn it! Goo insects! Zhao Kai roared again, without hesitation expelling the essence of his nascent soul, flames erupting from within him, encompassing even his eyes, nose, tongue, and viscera, a technique specifically designed to destroy poisons and goo insects that invade the body, harming both enemy and self alike. Squeaks! He immediately heard the pitiful screams of numerous goo insects within him, clearly perishing in the flames. It took a while before the flames subsided. Zhao Kai was charred all over, his vitality severely diminished. Who is controlling these two corpse kings? Zhao Kai instinctively swallowed several healing pills, his gaze fixated on the tumultuous dark chi of Mount Golden Thunder. Stop looking, I am right behind you. A calm voice arose behind him,